Hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to Let's Start Story on What If Naruto Went Chibi Vampire and Harem with Karin. So do 4 blue hearts. Comment, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video, and please share with your friends and watch till end. Also check out Patreon for I have upload Harry x Hermione uncensored spicy version, link in description. I followed the familiar streak to my dingy apartment in high spirits. I was even whistling something I heard at school. It had been a while since I had been this relaxed, which was unlike me. Though, oots of what had brought me to live in Tokyo began to creep into my mind, but I quickly buried them. Haruka-sensei must be here by now. I grinned, excited to see him after half a year. My pace slowed and my hands curled into fists. I can't believe it's already been 3 years. I looked up at a street light, my grin fading. 3 years and I can still see their faces. I shook my head and slapped both my cheeks. No, I can't let myself be stuck in the past. Haruka would scold me if he saw me. I pushed away the pain in my heart and tried to smile. Haruka was the only person I had left now. I picked up my pace. My apartment came into view, small and dirty, but habitable, and the neighbors were nice. Haruka knew where I kept my spare key and would probably be inside already. I started to jog toward my place. A block from my apartment, the lights went out down the entire street. The sun had just set, and it was too early for everyone to be asleep. I stopped, alert. Is there a power outage? It was quiet too, far too quiet for an urban neighborhood. My chest went cold. They've found me. Alarms went off in my head, and I could feel the adrenaline begin to pump into my veins. I leaped into a sprint as I dashed towards my apartment building. I've got to warn Haruka-sensei and get the hell out of here. I bounded up the steps to the door and grasped the door handle. Everything happened so fast. I'm surprised it was burned into my memory. The moment I twisted the handle, there was a slight click. Shit, I cursed as an explosion engulfed the building and blew me back. I flew through the air and bounced and skid across the tarmac before finally coming to a stop. I ignored the injuries I had sustained, serious burns, cuts, and some scrapes, and climbed to my feet. The pain I felt was brief as my healing abilities quickly fixed my body. My ears were ringing and I felt disoriented. Wow, what happened? Then the inferno before me encompassed my vision. The blood in my veins went cold and a familiar pain lanced through my heart. Haruka-sensei, I shouted as the building continued to burn. Only the crackle of the fire answered me. It is unfortunate Haruka-sensei had to die. We were only after you. But he insisted on protecting you, an emotionless voice said behind me. We told you we do not make idle threats. We said we would find you and drag you back to the village by any means necessary. I felt 3 familiar chakras appear behind me. So it's you 3. I thought our fight at the Valley of the End would at least make one of you think twice before coming after me. I spun around and gestured at the burning building. I'll make you all regret this. 3 figures in black cloaks stood a few feet away, accompanied by a big white dog. You forced our hand, Naruto, Shino stated. Our orders are clear. We are to capture the traitor Naruto for the murder of the Godime Hokage and 4 others. Kiba stepped forward, jabbing his finger at me. Yeah, you're not going to get away this time. We're going to drag you back even if it kills us, he exclaimed. Akamaru growled his agreement. Finally Sasuke spoke up. Surrender, dope. Last time you got lucky, but we've all grown stronger. Especially me. His dark eyes changed into his Sharingan. My hands were taut fists and my entire body was trembling. I could already feel my anger beginning to cloud my mind. You 3 sure are persistent. Quote. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. This ire was loosening my hold on the beast within me. You know you need my assistance, Gaki. Shut up. I snapped my eyes open and glared at them. Your last attempt left you all smeared on the side of a cliff. Why should I surrender when I've already beaten you all once? My tone was cold and cutting, just like that cold night years ago. Don't sound so cocky. Kiba bristled, taking a step forward. Calm down, Kiba. Do not let him goad you, Shino said as he grabbed Kiba's arm. Don't try to calm me down, Shino. Have you already forgotten what he's done? He glowered at me. The longer I talk with them, the harder it is to stay in control. Sweat was rolling down my neck and my nails were digging painfully into my palms, drawing bloody crescents. Sasuke stepped forward. His red eyes were cold and calculating, exactly as I remembered. Enough, he snapped. A smirk lifted one corner of his mouth. Shino, Kiba, stand down. I could feel the blood run down my fingers as I stared at him. My entire body was shaking violently now with rage. Sasuke, I growled gruffly. My control was slipping. I was already dangerously close to losing it as I felt my prisoner's chakra dribble into my system. He let out a low chuckle. You haven't changed a bit, dope. You still let your emotions control you. He started to walk toward me. I want to see who is stronger this time. Our orders are clear, Sasuke, Shino spoke up. It's just a friendly spar. Don't worry, we'll capture him, Sasuke assured him, waving him off. I'm just curious to see his power. This is unwise, but we will be on standby then. Shino lifted his arms, and I heard a distinct buzzing emanate from his sleeves. I could feel my prisoner's chakra begin to alter my appearance. In other words, you want to see if your power is greater than mine. Unbelievable, even after everything you did to Sakura and the village, you still want power. Sasuke shook his head, his smirk turning in a self-satisfied smile. No, I don't need power anymore. I avenged my clan a few months ago, all is right again. Now, I just want to put you in your place. He slid into a taijutsu stance. The Uchiha clan will once again be the elite. I let out a bitter laugh. You're jumping to conclusions, Tem, thinking you could kill Itachi. I pulled up my shirt, revealing a scar that covered the side of my stomach. A month ago, I could smell my body being cooked. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. You don't know what you're talking about. I killed Itachi. I wiped his blood from my blade. Quote, then your eyes aren't as great as you think, I said. I lowered my shirt. He gave me that scar, and his fire jutsu is still more impressive than yours. Sasuke was speechless for a moment. Then his anger burst forth. Damn him, how could he trick me so easily? I think you should get those eyes of yours checked out. You only cared about power, so you were blinded to the truth within the truth. Sasuke lowered his head, his body trembling. Curse you, brother, curse you. He muttered, his voice dripping with much venom. Shino stepped forward. Sink. Our squad leader is mentally incapable of performing his duty. I will take charge for the moment, he spoke calmly. Thousands of beetles flowed from his sleeves. We will apprehend the fugitive, Uzu Maki Naruto, and transfer him back to Konohagakure to face his punishment for the murder of the Godime Hokage Tsunade, Jiraiya, Yamoto, and Hyuga Hinata. Each of those names tore at my heart. It was painful, hearing them after so long. Yes, sir. Kiba charged forward, followed by Akamaru. Release me. My control finally broke at that moment and my prisoner's entire chakra burst forth. A red cloak enveloped me, burning my skin. You know. My voice was gruff, almost bestial. You should have given up hunting me. Suga. Kiba shouted, turning himself into a spinning drill. Quote. Maybe you would have lived. XXX. That was my living nightmare. It was the second worst night of my life. My only regret, besides allowing Iruka to die a meaningless death, was that I failed to kill any of those three. They took the life of the last precious person in my life, and I never returned a favor. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, former shinobi of Konohagakure no Sato. For the last 3 years, I have been on the run from Hunter Nin and members of the Akatsuki, an organization bent on removing the demon sealed inside me. The reason I have been running for the last 4 years are not something I like to discuss openly. But maybe you will learn of it. XXX. A year after that night. Naruto, wake up. Someone was calling to me softly and shaking me. Only one person, my stepmother, Yusui Fumio, continued to shake me and call my name. Her voice was urgent and very sad. I opened my eyes slightly, about as wide as I could manage at the moment. She was kneeling by my bedside with a coat over her nightgown. Mother, what is it? I asked, my words slightly slurred by sleep. I need to do some shopping. I want you to come, she told me. Come on, get dressed. Okay. I crawled out of my futon and got dressed. Why do we have to go this early? I'm still tired. I looked at the clock, it read 4:34 a.m. She panicked for a second. Yes, we have to go right now. There's, an early bird sale. She thrust a duffel bag into my arms. She was lying, even half asleep, I could tell. She was never really good at it. I nodded, deciding to go along with it. Alright. XXX. We got to the train station by 5. I kept slipping in and out of consciousness. I was almost left behind when the train arrived. I'm sorry Naruto, I know you're tired, she apologized as I lumbered after her to our seats. I stumbled and fell flat on my face. It's alright, I assured her, pulling myself off the floor. My busted lip stung for a second before it healed. We took our seats as the train lunged into motion. Mom, where are we going? I finally noticed her appearance. Her brown, glossy hair hung down, instead of being tied up as usual. She looked more sad and depressed than usual too. Somewhere far away, she looked at me. We're leaving home, she said seriously. I see. The news came as a surprise to me. It has been a year since I ran into any trouble. She looked away, her eyes welling up with tears. She's thinking how much of a failure she is as a mother again. Mom, you're not a failure, trust me. I wanted to say that, but keep quiet. She wouldn't believe me. I know you must be upset. She didn't look at me as she said this. I shook my head. No, not so much. I leaned my head against the hard seat. I'm used to leaving without much warning. I knew the reason behind this. Why she was so sad all the time. Are we leaving because of her? I asked, with a sharp tone. She nodded, dejected. I didn't like how she was treating you. She would change after all this time, but. Her voice was starting to crack with emotion and the tears were rolling down her cheeks. I felt my anger start to boil. That hag, she's supposed to be her mother. How can she treat her own flesh and blood like that? My so-called grandmother has ignored my existence ever since I arrived on their doorstep, and the act bothered Fumio immensely. You don't have to worry about me. It'll take more than being ignored to bother me. One person isn't much compared to an entire village. She wiped her eyes with a worn handkerchief. Haruka raised you well, but I can't continue to let her treat you like that, not with everything that you have already gone through. Her words pierced my heart. It has been a long time since someone cared about my well-being. Thank you, I whispered. She smiled at me. No need to thank me. I'm your mother, I'm supposed to protect you from those things. I smiled back, feeling optimistic. Oh, where are we going exactly? She took out her ticket stub. Shihaba. Shihaba was pleasant enough. We even managed to find a place to live despite the fact we didn't have much money. It was an old building, but I didn't mind. It had one tiny room with a kitchen. There was a toilet, but no bath. This little apartment will be our home from now on. I'm sorry Naruto. I know you're a growing boy. This must be very small for you. Fumio apologized when we finished unpacking. I forgot to introduce my stepmother. This is Yusui Fumio, my legal guardian for now. She's a nice lady, but doesn't have much confidence in herself. I shrugged. It's no big deal. As long as it keeps out the rain, I'm good. I looked at our used alarm clock and sighed. Today was the day I started school. Mother was very strict when T came to school since she didn't get to finish. She had to drop out when she got pregnant. Getting ready to go to school. She asked as I zipped up my uniform. It was still winter so I had to wear the winter uniform. Yeah, I replied as I slowly picked up my backpack. I wonder how my studies will go. It has been a year since I was around anyone my age and even longer since I have studied anything besides martial arts and jutsu. Something wrong. Fujino gave me a concerned look. I sighed. She was preternatural perceptive sometimes. Well, I'm trying to remember how to act around teenagers. I admitted. She giggled. You're still a teenager, stop trying to sound like an adult. She gave me a hug. Just be yourself. I chuckled. Not your best advice, Mom. She stepped back and looked confused for a second. But understanding flashed across her face. Ops, I forgot. Yeah, can't have them finding me. I glanced at the picture of Iruka-sensei and me on the only dresser we had. I have to be more careful this time. I looked back at the clock. Bye Mom, I have to go. I waved as I rushed out the door. Have a good day. I heard her call out. XXX. The start of my first day at school could have gone better. I got lost on the way to school, so I was late. I walked into the main office rubbing my bruised forehead. Stupid branch. A branch smacked me as I tried to cut through park by my house and I lost my bearings. Then I almost got ran over. This isn't my day. Uzumaki Naruto, right. One of the receptionists came to greet me. Yes. You're late on your first day. She raised an eyebrow at me. I grinned and rubbed the back of my neck. Sorry about that. I got lost coming from my apartment. I explained, leaving out the branch and almost getting killed. She nodded once. She lowered her eyebrow and gave me a polite smile. You live in the Western District, don't you, Uzumaki-kun? Yes, ma'am. It's much faster if you cut through the park. Just ask one of you. Our neighbors for directions because it's quite big. She said as she grabbed a clipboard. Thanks, I'll be sure to remember that. Her suggestion made me rethink my trip through the park. So it is a shortcut. And it might be big enough for me to train there. She nodded approvingly and looked at her clipboard. You'll be in class 1D, she wasted no time with small talk, but they have PE right now. Maybe it's best if you wait for them to finish before joining them. That's okay. Why wait? She giggled for some reason. Okay. XXX. Everyone was busy playing dodgeball when we arrived. They seemed caught up in the game when the receptionist yelled, "Hey, Class 1D. Come meet the new guy." Everyone stopped what they were doing and started staring at me. I groaned in my head while giving everyone a sheepish smile. So much for subtlety. I did my best to sound cheerful. Hello, I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Nice to meet you. I bowed slightly and looked over the class as they talked about me amongst themselves. My gaze rested on one girl. She was sitting on the steps, spacing out as her friend talked to her. She was cute and had purple hair, but what caught my attention was how much she looked like Hinata. For a minute, I could see her, blushing as she ran toward me, her midnight blue hair swaying behind her. He's cute. Are those scars on his cheeks? Whoa, did you see his eyes change color? That last one woke me from my memories. I blinked my eyes and took a small breath. Hinata's gone now. The girl with the purple hair looked at me, our eyes met. She stiffened. She sat there, frozen for a few seconds. Then she was clutching at her chest and collapsing. The girl next to her started shouting. Teacher, Maka-san is having trouble again. I didn't hear what she said, only one thought went through my head. You can't be serious. Nostalgia washed over me as the students rushed to help her. Can someone carry her to the nurse's office? The teacher asked. I'll do it. I volunteered without realizing it. XXX. I was standing outside class 1D, deciding if I should go in. With a groan, I slid open the door and went inside. My name was written on the blackboard in big, bold letters. I'd be surprised now if they didn't find me now. I rubbed my forehead. I would have liked to keep people from knowing my full name on the first day. Hearing my name and seeing it written down are two different things. Ah, Uzumaki-kun. Shirai-sensei called to me. She led me to an empty seat. We don't have a desk for you, but you can sit here for now. Whose seat is this? I asked as I sat. A student in front of me. Takeshi, I think he said, told me. Oh, that's Maka-san's, the girl that collapsed during PE. Hers. I mumbled. What if she comes back? She's anemic. She won't be back for a bit, so don't worry. He said as if reading my thoughts. I nodded, uncertain whether or not to skip class. There was still talk about me, but I paid it no mind. Too late to stop the damage. I settled into her seat, waiting for the lecture to begin. Just as Shirai-sensei was about to start, the girl that collapsed entered the room followed by her friend. She came to an immediate halt when she saw me. Her hand covered her mouth as she stared. What's she looking at? Oh, right, this is her seat. Her friend looked at her questioningly. Karin. So that's her name. She looked like she was going to throw up. Her face was flushed. Karin. Her friend called again, worried. Karin turned around and bolted for the door. I'm going home early today. She shouted over her shoulder before she was gone. I was confused, so I turned to Takeshi. What did I do? He shrugged. Dunno. XXX. I had a headache by the time the final bell rang. I spent the whole time wondering what I did to provoke that kind of reaction from that girl Karin. I don't know why, but it bothered me. What did I do to make her run away? I got up and headed for the door. Well, I was until a crowd of students blocked the doorway. I knew what was going to happen now. They sure aren't shy. Now it was time for the barrage of questions. Just a normal high school. I backpedaled. The questions already started. They asked about my other school, where I lived. My old home. I bumped into the window and sighed. Guess I have to be myself. I waved at them. Sorry, but I have to go. I hopped onto the window ledge and jumped. Class 1D was on the second floor. So many gasps followed me down. I landed with ease. I hope they don't copy me. You forgot your book. Someone who was not fazed by my stunt shouted from above. Please don't. I pleaded. The book smacked against my head, the corner drilled into my skull. Making sure they didn't throw anything else, I started home. My head was pounding. Stupid kids. I muttered. At that moment, the girl from earlier was creeping out of a bush and heading in the direction I was. That's Maka Karin. Was she ditching? Funny, she doesn't look like a delinquent. I paused before I started following her. Well, this is the way to my place so. XXX. It felt like I was stalking her. I hoped she would take a turn to stop this feeling, but she didn't. She continued onward, unaware of me, and went into the park. She followed a path in the direction of my apartment. I stopped at the entrance. Shirai-sensei did say it was quicker if I cut through the park. The lush-looking park made me think of Konoha. I went inside, feeling uneasy. I round a tree and I saw Karin hugging a middle-aged man too close for it to be friendly. What the hell? Is she a prostitute? I ducked behind the tree, heat rose into my face. It has been a long time since that happened. I wish I didn't see that. Deep inside myself, I did wish she was like Hinata. Those hopes were gone now. Hinata wouldn't do such a thing. Despite my better judgment, I leapt up into the treetops. I started home, leaping from branch to branch like in the old days. XXX. I got home faster than I would have liked. The wind rushing all around me helped clear my head. It brought back fond memories, before the betrayal and the deaths. All good things have to come to an end, I suppose. I got a job. I heard mother shout as soon as she came into the apartment and she tackled me, hugging me tightly. She sounded happy, the happiest I've ever seen her in a while. I'm glad we moved, she looks happier already. I returned her hug. That's great. The light atmosphere got my thoughts away from what I saw. I start my job tomorrow. Fumio sounded eager, her brown eyes bright. Seeing her happy made my bad day at school seem alright. I'll be sure to work hard. She promised. That worried me. I knew she would work hard, to the point of exhaustion. Even if it took everything she had. Kind of like me, all those years ago. That great, just don't push yourself too hard, Mom. I took off my shoes and placed it by the door. There is such a thing as overworking. Remember, balance. Seeing her like this reminded me too much of how simple and easy it used to be. Work hard and everything would turn out fine. Why did it have to get so complicated now? She waved me off. Don't worry so much, Naruto. But I do. Especially with the way some people might treat you. My vision began to dim and everything took on a red hue. Every time I thought about it, it infuriated me. Calm down. Nothing good comes from anger. I reminded myself as I took a deep breath. Just be careful of who you trust. She looked down. I know. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. I could use that jutsu to keep watch on you, if you want. I offered. My jutsu skills were still sharp. Despite being reduced to only practicing taijutsu. She shook her head. No, that's all right. I don't want you to tire yourself out. Besides, you have school tomorrow. I raised an eyebrow, questioningly. You sure? It's really no big deal for me. It was the first jutsu I learned. She shook her head again. No, Haruka informed me on what you can do. I'm just worried it'll blow you cover. I mean, two of you walking around. She walked to the small kitchen. Something was simmering on the stove, it smelled good. Come on, we each have a big day ahead of us. No need to go through it on an empty stomach. I hesitated. I can't continue like this. Everyone is counting on me to get stronger. And now I have a place I can actually practice my jutsu. I took a deep breath. Actually, Mom, there is something I want to say. I prepared myself. She was actually very stubborn about certain things and school was one of those things. I think I should stop going to school, I told her, my voice firm. Why is that? She asked sharply. She's mad. I can't be wasting time on something that will be no use to me. I have to get stronger, my friends are all counting on me. I explained. You know my situation. Time is something I can't afford to waste. She heaved a heavy sigh. I'm sorry that I force you to go. I just wanted you to enjoy what it's like to be a teenager. To have no major issues to worry about. Sometimes I forget you're not a normal boy." Her tone was sad and kind of regretful. She looked at me, her brown eyes watering up. "I'm sorry if I wasted you time." Damn, she is trying to guilt me. Why you haven't wasted my time? I just need to do other things instead of sitting for 8 hours, listening to someone talk about some unrelated things. I had to find a way to turn this around. I do like going, but that's good. She smiled a bit and began to play with the pendant around her neck. I just wanted to see you enjoy high school as much as I did. You know I had to drop out because of other things. Tears flowed down her face. I knew she was thinking of her real son. I know why you have other responsibilities too. I looked away, I just couldn't stand to see her cry. Shinobi are human too, no matter what the shinobi conducts say. I listened to her sob silently. I thought of her as a mother to me, so I knew I would do anything to make her happy. Could you save my food for later? I'm going out. I need to go to the library. Seems like I lost this battle. She looked at me, her brown eyes puffing up. Okay, be sure to get back before it gets too late. I will. I promised as I closed the door. Might as well get some training in while I clear my head. XXX. I found a secluded spot in the woods behind our apartment. Many bats flew overhead as the last of the sunlight vanished. At least I don't have to worry about bugs. Any bug would have to be insane to want to fly tonight. I turned my attention away from them, focusing on what I came here to do. Let's see if I can still do it. I formed a hand sign and molded my chakra. Shadow clone jutsu. I was out of practice, being stuck in the city doesn't give you a lot of secluded places. I coughed as the thick smoke that followed the jutsu surrounded me. I could sense that I was no longer alone. I overdid it. When the smoke cleared, I was literally lost in the crowd. I was everywhere. Shit. I undid the jutsu. The sound was deafening as the disappeared with a pop. I scanned the area. Did anyone see? For some reason, I felt like I was being watched. Is anyone there? I called. It was quiet and I sensed nothing. I heard nothing but the bat's wings, fluttering overhead. I paled a bit. This is creepy. I sensed no one nearby, but the feeling was still with me. I must be losing it. XXX. Third. In a mansion just up the hill from where Naruto was training, a silver-haired girl watched what her bats showed her. Interesting. Her auburn eyes looked out the window where the boy was training. What's so interesting? Her doll shouted in a slightly annoying voice. It's just a boy who can do some tricks. There's no way you can make copies of yourself. She looked at her doll with a calm expression. Maybe he's a vampire with particular talents. Notice his eyes change blood red each time he does one of his tricks. The doll grunted. He could almost hear the admiration in her voice. No way can he be a vampire. You saw him walking around at your sister's school. And your parents would have sensed him by now. That's right. Is he a vampire like KARIN? XXX. I was lying on the ground panting. My body protested to being worked so hard. After sitting around for almost a year, I needed this. I stood back up and wiped the sweat my brow, and got back into my stance. Standing in front of me was a shadow clone henge into my old friend, Sasuke. So far, he was doing an excellent impersonation of him. He was smirking at me, mocking me. Even though I knew I'd told him to act like that, it still made me anger. He was in a Juken stance and I was in a Goken. Two of Konoha's greatest taijutsu. I still am in Udet, Neji-senpai, Lee-senpai. You are doing too good a job of acting like Sasuke. That's because I am him, Dobi. His eyes turned blood red with 3 distinct dots swimming around his pupil. Then I should have no trouble wiping the floor with you. I growled, charging at him. My speed still amazed me, it took almost no effort to run behind him before he could blink. Lee-senpai's methods work with amazing results. Too slow. My s. The Asuke clone caught my punch and was already countering. We'll see. I shouted, bringing my leg around. Sever leaf hurricane. XXX. The next morning, I was very sore. He took it too seriously. I was careful not to move my head too fast. My clone took me by surprise and nailed me right in the head. Fumio was horrified when she saw the bruises this morning. I chuckled a little. Even though I hurt all over and my chakra reserves were greatly reduced, I felt really good. I haven't felt this great in a long while. I stretched and let out a sign as my muscles groaned. I glanced down, something glittering caught my eye. Hey, some change. Well, finders keepers. While I bent down to scoop it up, someone slammed into me from behind. Wah! That someone was Karin. She tripped over me and crashed in front of me, flashing her panties at me. Heat rose up into my cheeks as I looked away. Her again. XXX. Karin hurriedly pulled her skirt down to cover up as she sat up on the ground. Her face was beet red. Good, morn. She stuttered. I groaned as I helped her up and dusted her off. Why you don't have to. I picked up her books and handed them to her. Thank you. I gave her a cold look without thinking about it. Seeing her with that man reminded me of my mom telling me about her pregnancy when she was 16, and her lecture about sex. I forced the embarrassing lecture from my head and focused on her story. Maybe I should do something before she gets herself into a big mess. Mom wouldn't forgive me if I let this continue, but it's really none of my business. I turned and continued walking to school like nothing happened, my mind working hard on why she bothered me. XXX. Third. Karin watched him walk away, his satchel looked stuffed with books. What was with his attitude? She felt hurt by the look he gave her, so cold. Other students ran by her, some of her friends were among them. Karin, hurry up or you'll be late. Her friend, Tokito Maki, shouted as she ran by. Oh no, I forgot to do my homework. Karin quickly took after them, but stopped. What if I run into him again? I'll deal with that when the time comes. Right now, I have to get to class. Her concerns were wasted. Uzumaki Naruto was gone. Not even the people that ran by saw him. XXX. She made with, surprisingly, a lot of time to spare. Given that she tripped 3 times on the way here. There were hardly any students in the room. Must be eating breakfast. She froze when she saw him, sitting in the next row, 2 seats behind hers. He had his head down and seemed to be snoring. Is he asleep? She treaded softly to him without tripping on something, a feat for her. Her blood started to rise a little, being right beside him, but she didn't notice. She stared at him for a time. Finally, she poked him. You Uzumaki-kun, she called quietly. The bell rang, startling her. She stumbled back over someone's seat. The teacher came in. All right, be seated. We are about to start. She yelled. Karin, are you all right? Maki asked, a worried expression on her face. She saw Karin fall. Ow. Yeah, I think so. Naruto was still asleep, even the yelling and noise didn't wake him. He must be really tired. She thought as she sat in her seat. XXX. Karin was lost in thought, none of the lecture sunk into her head. Her thoughts were about a certain transfer student. God, that look he gave me was so cold. I haven't even talked to him yet, what did I do? She thought back to the previous day and this morning. She grimaced, her face going red from embarrassment. Right, all that stuff. The thing about him that freaked her out was that his eyes changed color when he looked at her. One moment they were deep azure, and then they were blood red. There has to be an explanation for that. What if he's a vampire? One like me. She glanced back at him, wondering. XXX. First, I woke to the teacher taking row. I stifled a yawn, answering as she called my name. No more late training. Fumio would kill me if I get bad grades. My eyes wandered the room until they rested on Karin. As class went on, I couldn't think about anything but her. I don't know why. Something about her drew me to her. The fact that she looks like Hinata doesn't help either. I stared at the back of her head absent-mindedly. What's with this girl? First that thing yesterday, now this morning. I closed my eyes, frustrated. Forget it. I'm not going to tell her how to live her life. The rest of the day passed with absolute focus on what was being said during the lecture. At the end of the day, I couldn't remember any of it. Damn it. XXX. After school I wandered around town. What should I do? I had too much free time at the moment and nothing to do. Fumio was at work and I didn't want to sit in the house. My body resisted thoughts of training some more. At that moment, I saw an ad in the window of a restaurant. Now hiring new staff. I read, and it dawned on me. Mom's job may pay for the rent, but not the other necessary things we need. Julian. I went in with hopes of work. I wanted to earn my keep. Welcome to Julian. A waitress greeted me. Can I help you? I nodded and gestured to the ad. Yeah, I saw your ad and I was wondering if I could apply for it. Okay, I'll go get the manager. Fill this out. She handed me an application and walked into the back. She came a minute later with a short, chubby man with glasses. He seemed like a nice guy. Oh, take a seat. She gestured toward a booth. I sat. What can I do for you? He asked. I like to apply for your ad. I replied. What's your name? Uzumaki Naruto. Ah, so tell me. Uzumaki-kun, why do you want to work here? He looked at me, curious. There's only one reason. Well, I just moved here with my mother. We don't have much money and I don't want her to work too hard just to support me. I want to work so she doesn't push herself. It sounded embarrassing when I actually said my reason aloud. It's like an anime. It was weird when he started to cry. What? My reason wasn't that sad. He wiped his eyes with a handkerchief. You're a nice man. You're hired. Though your first month will be a trial period. I stood up and bowed. Thank you. He got up too. Let's see if we can find you a uniform. We should have one in your size. He motioned for me to follow him to the back. As we passed the storage room, I heard a strange metal rattling come from behind it. I opened the door and saw a girl fall off a ladder. I leapt forward to catch her. Watch out. My training last night had loosened up my muscles so I overshot it. I ran under her, and she landed on my head then on my back. Ow. You Uzumaki Naruto. I heard her gasped. I twisted my head, and sure enough, Karin was sitting on my back. Her face was flushed. Maka. I greeted her with a nod, and then fell unconscious. Having her fall on my sore, tender head was a bit much. What happened? I heard before everything went black. XXX. When I regained consciousness, I found myself on a couch in the employee lounge. The room was simple yet cozy. A damp cloth I didn't notice slid down my face as I sat up. Ouch. I rubbed my head. That blow from yesterday hurt like hell. It was like knives being jabbed into my skull. Yes, he took it way too serious. Ah, you're awake. XXX. So you two are classmates? Our boss asked. I didn't like the way he was looking at us. He better not. Then, Uzumaki-kun, could you walk Maka-kun home? I had to stop myself from glaring at him. Playing matchmaker. Sure. I stammered. I looked out the window, the crescent moon had already risen. Maybe I can talk to her about her other job. There was a strong resolve in me to get her to stop. I didn't know why. Maybe that's because she is about to make the same mistake mom did. Teenagers just aren't responsible. I sighed as I thought about my classmates. XXX. The silence was almost unbearable as we walked. It bothered me. So, you work at Julian? I asked, trying to break the oppressive atmosphere. She nodded, refusing to look at me. Yeah, that I am. She chuckled nervously. Her expression turned forlorn. In my family, when you're my age, you're expected to get a job and earn your keep. I stopped, too stunned to reply. The way she said that, why does she keep reminding me of Hinata? She continued walking, oblivious to my distraught. Plus, there are lots of things to buy, lots of. I grabbed her arm. She turned around to look at me, her face flushed. If you work hard, you don't have to sell yourself. You really shouldn't do it. I yelled, not caring who heard. Stop whoring yourself. Her whole face went bright red. I would be surprised if she didn't glow in the dark. Wait, what the? Whore, me, she yelled, yanking her arm free. I saw you yesterday in the park, with an older man. I explained. She was completely flustered, her words came out stuttered. That W wasn't, I would never, she was panicking. I just thought she was ashamed. Man, was I wrong. You're a really bad lying. Please stop. I smiled a little. She was looking at the ground, fidgeting. Hey, a voice called behind us. I turned around. A man with silver hair strolled to us with older lady clinging to his arm. Well, if it isn't Karin. Long time no see. He waved at her. The lady's gaze alternated between him and Karin. Hey, who's she? She sounded hurt. Relax, it's just my little sister. He assured her. Oh, she snuggled into his chest. So you're going home. I'll miss you so much. They were ignoring us now. I've been at your place for 5 days now, Cherry. I have to go home sometimes. He held her close. I'll be back soon. We're like the north and south of a magnet, we simply can't be kept apart. I saw through his lies instantly. A player, he should have used a better line. That was just tacky. I shook my head in disgust. She'd probably never see him again. Since her brother's here, I waved at Karin and took my leave. Bye. XXX. Third. Karin watched him leave, heat rising in her cheeks. He saw me. She muttered. XXX. First. I arrived home in a foul mood. Fumio was just as cheery as yesterday, which lifted my mood a bit. I'm home, I yelled as I closed the door. Welcome back. She greeted me, something I was unused to. How was your day? Did you make any friends? No, not really. I sat by the table, a bowl of ramen laid in front of me. It smelled delicious. Bad day. Quote. Nah, just didn't want people to notice me, so I kept my distance. I replied after swallowing. No friends are better than enemies. That would be troublesome, especially when it's not called for. I finished my bowl in seconds. That was great, thanks. I got up. You're leaving again. I nodded seriously. I have to get stronger. If I have to sacrifice some sleep, then so be it. The more I wait, the harder it will be to take back my village. I'll be back late, so don't wait on me. As I was about to close the door, Fumio remembered something. Wait, some kind of frog dropped off a letter for you. Her stomping feet and the noise of shuffling papers told me she forgot where it was. Here. She handed me weathered-looking piece of paper. Thanks, I muttered. XXX. I was afraid of the news I would receive when I read it. So I stared quietly at the letter. My fingers traced across the page, feeling the dents where she pressed the pencil too hard against the paper. I took a deep breath before unfolding it. Ni-san, I'm glad you are still safe. I was getting worried when you neglected to write for such a long time. Idiot. Do you know how worried I was? I was just about to kill Konohamaru because he kept asking me if you wrote yet. You're lucky your letter arrived in time, even Sakura was worried. Now you're in a place called Shihaba. Did they find you? We are still in Bear Country. They seem to have lost interest in us for now. I know what you're thinking, I'm not an imbecile. I remember to burn anything you sent me and managed to keep Konohamaru's big mouth shut. The Akatsuki and Konoha have been unusually inactive. It's making me nervous. When are you coming back? We need you. This are getting worse in Konoha from all the rumors we hear. Hanabi. I folded up the letter and looked up at the sky. I can't come back yet. I'm not strong enough yet. I said aloud, as if she could hear me. I decided to write back. Sakura, ND Konohamaru just have to wait a bit longer. I took out the paper I brought and began to write. Little sis, bro, Sakura-chan. Well, I'm glad to hear you three are still safe. Although it's still war. Ease me that you might do something stupid. Remember, we need to be at full strength for the operation. Oh, tell Gaara to keep on the move. If the Akatsuki can find me here in Japan, the same can happen to him. You three watch each other's back. Tell Konohamaru to loosen up. You too, Hanabi. Say thanks to Sakura for me for keeping you three alive. You two are still inexperienced, so don't complain. Ni-san. I bit my thumb hard on my right hand enough to draw blood. I weaved the necessary hand size and slammed my palm on the ground. A cloud of smoke hid my summon. A tiny black toad jumped out of the smoke and landed on a rock. What do you want? It demanded, sounded very annoyed. Gamashi, I need you to deliver a message to Hanabi. Gamashi eyed me for a sec. Fine, I owe you. I tied my letter to his back. You sure do. He hopped into the night. So arrogant. The toads were handy, but their attitudes were hard to cope with. Still, I was curious. How did they deliver messages so fast? They can't hop all the way there. After that I decided to head home. Tomorrow was going to be hard. I think there's a test tomorrow. I groaned loudly. Man, I should have paid attention. I slammed into a wall with a sickening crack. Before I could slid to the ground, someone's hand clasped around my neck. He squeezed hard enough to cut off my air, and pressed me into the wall. You should have ran when you had the chance. You know you couldn't save them, nor avenge them. My attacker whispered into my ear. I didn't recognize his voice, all I knew was that I was outmatched. My vision was blurry, so his face vague. I won't let you take Konoha. I wheezed out. His grip tightened. Oh, if your sensei and Hokage didn't stand a chance, what chance does their pathetic student have? He laughed mockingly. My anger and fury boiled up in me, trying so hard to break free. When I need it the most, I can't. Captain Yamato's temporary seal still held, sucking away my prisoner's chakra each time it surfaced. Damn it. His laughter stopped. Enough play time. He was suddenly solemn. Even if you do get away or manage to beat me, you'll forever be branded a traitor. You have no control of the Kyuubi's chakra. Your sensei and friends lay dead. And you were the only person to see them. You've lost no matter what the outcome. His fist buried deep into my stomach, knocking the remaining air from my lungs. So strong. I went through the wall and bounced across the ground before coming to a stop. I took deep breaths, my throat and lungs hurting with each breath. With much difficulty, I rose to my feet. You're right, I admitted. I have lost. He stepped through the hole he made, shadows covered his face. Of course you have. And I can finally claim what was always rightfully mine. The title of Hokage will now be mine. He chuckled, his eyes shining gleefully through the darkness. I pulled out a scroll from my weapons pouch, the kanji for weapon was written on it. Kai. I commanded and reached out for the war scythe that materialized in front of me. I have lost, but I will do everything I can to make sure you never become Hokage. Tears bled from my eyes as I charged straight at him. My sensei. My friends' bodies laid within the building behind him. Granny, Kakashi, Yamato, Ruruka, Ero Sennin. I'm sorry. With a feral roar, I leapt at him. My scythe glinted briefly, reflecting the moonlight. As I brought it across. Die. I yelled, forcing the seal to break. I let the blood-red curtain close. XXX. I bolted upright, sweating heavily. My black tank top was soaked in it. I bite down on my hand to keep from screaming. The loss of a comrade was never easy, but to lose 5 of my closest friends was unbearable. I still don't know who that was. Tasting blood, I took my mouth off my hand. I looked over to where Fumio was sleeping. She didn't seem disturbed. With a deep sigh, I got up and quietly went outside. It was almost summer time. Going to be changing uniforms soon. The cool night breeze that blew calmed me down some, but not enough. I clenched my fist, tightly shutting my eyes. If only I was stronger that day. Then, a single tear slid down my cheek. I'm sorry. I sobbed, wishing they could hear me, to answer me. You all died protecting me, protecting the village, and I failed to carry on what you started. My body shook with my sobs. I wept, unashamed that I was breaking the 25th rule of shinobi conduct. The sun peeked over the horizon, promising warm weather. It was already warming the earth. I wiped my tears and headed inside. Time for school. XXX. Third. Unknown to Naruto, the silver-haired girl keep watch over him. Interesting. She mused. Something from his past still haunts him. She had heard every word he said. You're like a stalker. He doll grunted. She threw him out of the room and closed the door. I was kidding. The doll wailed behind the door. Can't you take a joke, Anju? HMPH. Anju continued to watch him with keen interest. She should have reported this boy the moment she saw him to her parents, but something told her to observe him some more. Uzumaki Naruto. XXX. First, I came out of Shihaba Natural Park. My satchel over one shoulder. The black uniform was suffocating, so I didn't bother to zip up the jacket. It's beginning to be too hot for this thing. Damn teachers, only allowing us to switch when it nearly cooks us. I complained inside my head. I left early for school, so there was hardly anybody from Shihaba High on their way to school. As I neared the school, I heard a scream. I tensed up, stopping in front of the front gate. Don't get involved, I told myself and continued walking. I was almost inside when I turned on my heel and went in search of the origin of the scream. XXX. In the alley behind the general store near the school, I found the source. 5 teens were ganging up on a girl. 3 stood guard while the other 2 harassed her. I felt the red curtain threaten to close as my rage built up. If I wanted to slaughter them, I would have gladly let it close. But that would mean she would get killed too. I calmed my mind, willing my rage to go away. Just hand over your money. One demanded. Anger glinted in his clear gray eyes. Don't make this any harder than it has to be. The other one said impatiently, running a hand through his short, black hair. They were all dressed in black t-shirts with the kanji for dagger on their back. Ridiculous. The 3 guards noticed me. There's nothing to see. One growled, a rather ugly-looking fellow. His pointed head almost made me laugh. Yeah, you should move along, the other one said. Anticipation showed in his eyes, hoping I would start something. The third just stared at me, analyzing me. Seeing if I would be a problem. I suggest you leave her alone. I stood firmly, even though they all were taller and bigger than me. The two guys harassing her stopped and turned to me. Look here, Ryu. This little shrimp thinks he can tell us what to do. He grinned savagely, like a wild animal that found prey. So it would seem, Yuri. Ryu took a step toward me. Listen here, hero. I'll let you wake away this time for this intrusion. Just forget what you saw and get to class. The way he held himself and the way the others' eyes were on him told me he was the boss. He's not much to look at. I sighed. You see, that's the problem. I can't let you continue, it would bug me all day. I scratched the back of my head. I would be able to sleep. Then we'll have to convince you to go, Ryu said, motioning for the three guards to attack with a nod of his head. At least I get to use my taijutsu. Then I guess you going to have a hard time. I smirked at them. I'm pretty stubborn. No, don't. The girl shouted from behind them. They blocked view of her so I couldn't see her. Just run, forget about me. You should listen to the girl, Ryu advised as his guards closed in on me. Listen here girl. It's too late for that, I already got involved. Just wait while I finish what I started. I shouted over them. Cocky bastard. One lunged at me, swinging a meaty fist at me. I blocked and used his momentum to throw him into the brick wall. The other two were apparently much better fighters. One aimed a side kick at my head, while the other aimed to take out my legs. Their attacks seemed to have stopped. I was beginning to understand why. They're so slow. I can't wait. I lashed out at one. My fist slammed into him and sent him to the ground. While he fell, I front-kicked the other. I had never fought someone from this world before. It was too easy. Their speed is nothing compared to a shinobi's. Yuri looked scared as the three fell to the ground. Ryu, on the other hand, wasn't impressed. You idiots. You're an embarrassment to Yusuke-sama and the Tenkan gang. He looked at me, eyes full of contempt. You let this shrimp beat you. He took out a dagger and twirled it in his hand. Guess I'll have to pursue you myself. My voice was no longer calm. I'm giving you one last chance, leave now. The curtain was getting harder and harder to keep open. Take your wounded and go. This is your last warning. They both took an involuntary step back. My eyes must be changing from blue to blood red. Why you think you stand a chance against a lieutenant of the Tenkan? He snapped. But his confidence was gone. I don't care what gang you're from. I haven't even began to get started. I glared at them. Their kind made me sick. They live off the weak, and then cower when faced with a real opponent. Leave. I let out some of my prisoner's chakra. That must have did it, because they walked around me and helped up their buddies, then scurried away. Disgusting bugs. I shook my head in disdain. I walked over to the girl. She had the same uniform as me. So she goes to Shihaba High too. Are you okay? I offered her my hand. Why yes. She took it and I pulled her up. Why you were amazing, she said in awe, looking at the retreating figures. I shrugged. I always finish what I start, nothing to it. I looked at her. She must be in a different year than me because I haven't seen her. Her dusty blonde hair was tied up, her glasses had a crack in the lens, and her blue eyes were deep and alluring. She was shorter than me, and you could say she was cute. Her pixie-like face turned to look at me. Nothing. What you did was cool. She blushed at being so loud. Gomen, it's just that no one has ever stood up to them. They have been terrorizing our school for quite a while now. She looked at the ground, her bangs creating a curtain, blocking view of her face. You are cool, you saved me from them. She muttered. It's no big deal. I'm sure anyone would have done the same. The sun was climbing higher. If we didn't hurry, we would be late. Listen, class is about to start. We should get going. All of a sudden, she leapt onto me. Thank you. She planted a kiss on my cheek. I love you. She's not shy. My face was hot as she clung to me. Seriously. We're going to be late, I said, trying to pry her loose. Let go. I don't even know you. I hope no one saw this. I really had no time for this. I'm Hayama Yukiko. Will you go out with me? She shouted in my ear. Introducing yourself doesn't make it all right. XXX. I was flustered as I took my seat. The bell rang just as I practically leapt into the classroom. Yukiko had a grip like iron. Man, I thought, since this place is smaller than Tokyo, that this place would be a little mellower. Good call on that one. Somehow, I got her to her class on the first floor and managed to get to mine. I stared at the blackboard. I messed up. She'll probably tell everyone what I did. Now I'm sure they will find me. I left a pretty big impression. My eyes wandered to Karin. I thought back to yesterday. What I said sounded harsh when I replayed it in my head. Should I apologize for what I said? Even if it was the truth. It was hurtful. I banged my head on the desk. Why do I have to deal with all these weird girls? Oh, Uzumaki-kun wants to answer the problem so much, both his hands are raised. Shirai-sensei beckoned me to the front. Okay, explain how to get y to equal the square root of 4x to the 4 power. XXX. During the lunch break, as I was on the way to the library, I ran into Karin. Maka. I greeted as she bumped into me. When she recognized me, she blushed and bounded ungracefully down the hall. She didn't have to run, at least, not at full speed. Instead of pursuing her, I walked to the library. Was I really that bad? I probably was. No girl wants to be told she's a whore. I sat down at one of the tables, pulling out a book. I have to find a way to fix this. Naruto-kun. Someone shrieked behind me. But first, I have to fix this. I felt the sweat drip down my back as Yukiko wrapped her arms around me. Yes, this has to be first. No yelling in the library. He librarian snapped with a fierce scowl on her face. I offered an apologetic smile. Yes, they should find me tomorrow. XXX. Yukiko sought me out when the last bell of the day rang. Already, there were rumors of what I did spreading. I heard he took out 20 tanken. Someone whispered. I heard that too. Is it true he used only one hand? Rumors always get the facts wrong. I felt someone grab my arm. I risked a glance. Sure enough. It was Yukiko. I can't even sense her. Where are we going, senpai? She asked with a beaming smile on her lips. Senpai. She nodded vigorously. Yup, you're my senpai. You have to teach me how to fight like that. She looked at me, a tint of pink in her cheeks. I didn't realize she was younger. Shihaba High also has the junior high included. Different from other high schools for sure. Well, we'll see. I have to go to work. So, then I'll wait for you. She leaned her head against my shoulder, humming happily. The other students could see us and were already spreading the word. Small places like this suck. Word gets around faster. Dang, Uswamki-san been here for a few days. He works fast. Lucky. Why can't I get a girlfriend? One guy wailed, throwing his arms up. 'Cause you don't put on deodorant. The girl walking next to him shouted, stumbling back. I've got to set this straight. XXX. As soon as we were out of sight, I gently grabbed Ukiko-chan's shoulders and held her at arm's length. Listen, Yukiko-chan, you should go home. It's okay, I can wait. I shook my head. I'm sorry I wasn't straightforward before. I can't go out with you. Why? Even though we just met. Her azure eyes were tearing up with what she knew was going to happen. I looked away, not able to stand it. I can't date, not at a time like this. There are difficulties. I told her. You're gay. She guessed. What? I shouted loudly. No, I am not gay. I stammered. Then what other reason is there? She asked. I knew she was baiting me. But I didn't want another rumor spreading. I'm not gay. I said again, firmly. She peered closed at my face, getting close. You sure? You're blushing, what am I supposed to believe? I'm not gay. I repeated. This was embarrassing. I couldn't help blushing. Anybody that sees this is dead. She smirked, thinking she won. Prove it. I can't have this spreading. Anybody would believe it. Fine. I pulled her closer, my lips brushing over hers. As I tried to pull back, she held me to her. Her hands wrapping around my neck, for some reason I replied by pulling her closer. Her lips were soft and tasted faintly like strawberries. When we ran out of air, we broke apart. Happy? I asked, the heat finally leaving my face. She smiled at me, her face as flushed as mine. Yup, you're not gay if you can kiss a girl like that. I smiled back. Well, I'm glad you're happy. Inside, I felt like a trapped animal. Forced into a relationship. But I rather be killed than let her spread any more rumors. I'll meet you after work then. Great. She grabbed onto my arm and we continued walking. XXX. When I finally got home, I let out a sigh of relief. I thought today would never end. Julian was crowded today. Karen purposely ignored me, and gave me wide berth. Even though she was supposed to be training me, she left me with a rebelling cash register. Welcome home. Fumio called from the kitchen. Did you have a good day? The smell of curry drifted from the kitchen, making my stomach growl. I just remembered that I haven't eaten all day. It was interesting. Anything you want to talk about? She asked as I sat at the table. I'm here if you need me. She added. She can see how flustered I am. I sighed and started to tell her about my day. What? You took on a gang, by yourself? She almost fainted when I told her about the Tankin. What do you mean you have a girlfriend now? She shouted louder than the gang part. She forced you to be her boyfriend. Tell me who she is. I'll teach that girl to threaten my son with lies like that. She vowed, but looked at me. You're not gay, right? Everything was too much. I gladly lost unconsciousness. Karen stared up at the crescent moon. There were a few more days until the full moon, when her monthly blood surge was due. She let out a sigh. How she hated her body. It's getting close, she muttered. Her two other siblings were sitting on the couch behind her. That's right. Your day's coming soon, Ren stated. Their younger sister, Anju, sat on his lap. He patted her head sympathetically. It must be hard on you, Anju, AYS having to keep you big sister out of trouble. Usually, it's the bigger sister that looks after the little one. He said gently. Anju stayed silent. Ren's jibes at what Karen had no control over were the way things worked around her. Brother, what would you do if you were in her shoes? He looked pointedly at Karen. But letting one of your classmates watch you feed is embarrassing, even for you. His grating voice clawing at her. You can't keep depending on your sister all the time. Karen clutched the black satin curtains. I know that. She snapped back. It's not like I didn't have a choice. I was just born this way. Her auburn eyes began to tear up. The next sound was Karen slamming the door to her room. There she goes, sulking again. He stared at the closed door for a moment. Then he turned to his little sister. Well, you haven't awakened as a vampire yet, Anju. But your ability to control bats so effortlessly. I think you're destined to be one of the greats. She looked back at him wordlessly. If this Uzumaki kid uncovers Karen's true identity, just erase his memory. He told her. She nodded. Yes, that was my plan. XXX. First, I counted down the last 5 minutes of the day. The last week had been difficult. Almost there. It seemed like it took 3 seconds for the second hand to move. I knew for sure that Yukiko would be waiting at the main gates, ready to pounce on me. I noticed that I was being watched more often now. The rumors of what I did were still circulating around school, and that Yukiko and I were dating. At least those rumors are based on truth. The rumors that flew around about the Tenkin kept growing. Mainly because I thwarted more of their pitiful mugging attempts. They should get the lesson by now. How many more thugs did they have left? I sighed as I watched the last second go by and the bell rang throughout the school. Chairs scrapped across the floor and scuffling of feet followed. Better go meet her out front. I heaved myself up, slowly, just to stall. Maka was still in her seat as I walked by. I saw her stiffen immediately. Her hands went over her mouth and looked like she wanted to puke. Was I that bad? I already apologized for it. What more does she want? Yesterday, I finally cornered Maka and told her I was sorry for what I said. She ran the moment I was done. Are you okay, Maka? She stared at me, tears brimming in her eyes. She roughly shoved me aside and ran out the door, her face extremely flushed. No, she shouted as the door slammed shut. Maka. I reach out toward her, grasping nothing but air. Was what I did so bad to make her loathe me this much? I decided to go after her and make her understand that I truly am sorry. Yeah, that's what I'll do. It should take only a few minutes. I took one step before Maka's friend that sat in front of me stopped me. Uzumaki-kun, what did you do to Karen? She asked, staring at the door Karen exited. You are. Exasperated, she shook her head. I'm Tokito Maki. Sheesh. I sit in front of you, the least you could do is remember my name. She pouted. You can be friendly with Karin, but she has absolutely no experience with boys. Plus you have a girlfriend. She eyed me with what looked like disdain. Are you thinking of going after Karin? She almost growled. Because if you or I'm going to tell Yukiko. What do I do? At times like these, I wish Iruka-sensei were here. He always knew how to disarm tense situations like these. I smiled sadly. Iruka-sensei. No, nothing like that. I was just worried, she looked sick. I didn't wait for her to replay, I walked away. But the damage had been done. Some of the other kids heard bits and pieces of our conversation and were already whispering among themselves. Getting all the facts twisted, warping my words. I clutched my fists as after I closed the door. He's making a move on Maka-san. 2 chicks in 2 weeks. Man, he works very fast. Isn't he already with Yukiko-chan? Rumors can destroy anyone and are almost impossible to kill. Let them talk. I'll be gone soon. I thought to myself as I walked in the direction Maka went. XXX. Third, Karin stopped when she came to a dead end. The blood surging through her impaired her mind. She had her hand over her mouth as she tried to think which way was the exit. I can't stay here any longer. This is much worse than any of the other times. Why? It's too early. I still have a few more days. She had her other hand against the wall to hold herself up. Why is this happening? Who is Uzumaki Naruto? Her heart was beating fast. Tear as the excess blood in her body looked for a way out. What should I do? I can't call Anju, she won't get her in time. No, she shouted when her blood spiked again. There you are. Naruto's calm voice drifted from behind her. Her hand went over her heart, the blood was too much. It hurt. XXX. First, I said I was sorry about what I said. Why do you keep running from me? I asked, my calm demeanor breaking. It sucks to be loathed for something you're truly sorry about. I shouted. She turned her head to look at me. Then she screamed and took off down the hall. Wait, I was behind her in an instant, forgetting to control my abilities, and grabbed her wrist. Why are you running? Don't touch me, she hissed. With surprising strength, she slapped me across my face. I stepped away, GHTLY disappointed that she would continue to hold a grudge against me. I can see you will still hate me no matter what I say. Her legs were shaking, she still had her hands over her mouth, and was staring at me with teary eyes. I'll leave you now. I began to turn away when she let out a cry. Her entire body spasmed, tears streamed down her face as she struggled to keep still. Then, her nose spewed blood like a fountain. Wah! I backpedaled before her blood sprayed me. The sight of all that blood brought back flashes from my pained memory. I pushed them aside and focused on the present. Are you okay? Of course not, Baka. A voice snapped at me. Look at all that blood. She sat on the floor with her hands over her nose, thinking she could hold it in. Blood continued to flow. It got all over the floor in her uniform. I stared at her dumbly for a second. Get help. The voice hissed. I'll get the nurse. I turned around, but before I could go, I felt her tugged at my jacket. Don't call anyone, she pleaded. Please. Her voice was desperate. Why? You could have something wrong with you. Look at all that blood. I shouted, pulling away. She had a firm purchase on my jacket. Every month, around this time, the amount of blood in my body increases. She explained. Increases? What is she talking about? I noticed her teeth. Her canines were longer than they should be. What's with her teeth? That would seriously hurt if she decided to bite me. I stopped struggling against her even though I could be down to the nurse's office and back in no time. If I don't expel the blood, it sort of gushes out like this. She let go of my jacket and wiped her tears with a bloody hand. I'm a freak. Absolutely pathetic. Oh God, I'm so embarrassed. She sobbed. I can't take it anymore. I knelt and dug out some tissues. I'm sorry. I offered them to her. When she didn't take them, I hesitated for a second before wiping her face for her. Her face was flushed as I cleaned it. Her eyes fluttered as the nosebleed slowed to a trickle. Sorry. She keeled over. Just please, don't call anyone. Karin. I was worried that she was. Bad memories threatened to crush me underneath their weight. But then, I saw her chest move. Her breathing was faint, but she was breathing. Please keep this a secret, she whispered before her eyes closed. XXX. I was conflicted between honoring her request and seeking medical help. With all that blood, there was no way you could be healthy. I finally picked the former. Getting a mop and bucket from the janitor's closet, I set to work cleaning the bloody floor. The coppery smell made me nauseous. After that I wiped off Karin's hands and face, leaving her clothes alone. Still, I blushed as I scrubbed her hands and gently washed her face. I couldn't get the smell out of my head as I hauled her on my back. She did say to keep this a secret. She might get in trouble if she's found her on the floor. I should just take her home. But where does she live? The only clue I had was that she lived somewhere in the Western District because I would bump into her, sometimes literally. Western District it is. XXX. Third. Anju Wa. TCHED. The scene play out from atop a tree branch. She almost had to send in her bats when he looked like he wanted to get help. She relaxed when he decided to do it himself, cleaning up after her troublesome sister and carrying her on his back. Maybe I should follow them. My, do you sound jealous, Anju? Boogie hinted. She stuffed him in her bag. Be quiet. I'm just joking. His voice muffled. That's all you seem to be doing these days. She hopped off the branch. This is getting interesting. Things her sister would have certainly missed didn't pass unnoticed by her. The speed at which the boy moved. The way he would have broken free of her hold easily. Vampires were strong, though her sister only was when she had her monthly blood issues. Who are you, Uzumaki Naruto? XXX. First. As luck would have it, Yukiko had to leave early today. So she wasn't waiting like she usually did. Thank you. I wouldn't be able to handle her as well as Maka. XXX. The sun was gone as I left Shihaba Natural Park. Maka began to stir. Her shriek hurt my ears when she realized where she was. Sleep good? I asked. I think I did because my ears were ringing. What's going on? She practically demanded. You said to keep it a secret. So I'm carrying you home. I was annoyed. At least remember what happened. I don't think I'll ever get that smell out of my head. Oh, I cleaned up all the blood on the floor, and on you, mostly. Good thing our uniforms are black. She laid her head against my neck. It felt warm and, kind of good. Naruto-kun, thank you. She murmured. No problem. I replied. I halted short of my apartment. Can you stand? Yes. I let her down, catching her when she threatened to collapse. She averted her eyes from mine. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. She backed away from me. But, I can't be around you, Naruto-kun. She spun around and ran off. So please, stay away from me. I stood there, rooted to the ground. Did I screw up again? I asked myself. I can never win. I went inside my apartment. Fumio was having a staring contest with Yukiko. Man, she looks pissed. XXX. Fumio smiled to me as I sat at the table, and glared at Yukiko as she did the same. I managed to muster up a smile in reply. Mom, you're home early. I was nervous. Even if I was forced to be Yukiko's boyfriend, having her meet my mother was never an option. Fumino nodded. Yup, the market had to close early today. She eyed Yukiko, and I met your girlfriend. She was waiting for you. She looked at me questioningly. Where were you? Yukiko was curious too. Yes, do tell. My gaze alternated between Yukiko and Fumio. This isn't happening. Baruka-sensei, if you can hear me. Please, I need your help. I pleaded that he would hear me, answer me. And as if he did, an excuse came to me. I was dropping off a classmate's homework. I lied so easily that it made me feel bad. I thought you left early, Yukiko-chan. She nodded. I did, but I came back after lunch. So that's it, huh? No hiding. Fumio glared at Yukiko fiercely. Since he has not been cheating like you implied, I suggest you leave before I punish you for forcing my son to be your boyfriend with a lie. She growled. I sighed. This was going to get out of hand soon. Troublesome, I thought, thinking that word applied nicely. Come on, Yukiko-chan. I'll walk you home. I grabbed her hand and rushed out the door. Be home soon. Fumio called after us. And I mean soon. XXX. Third. By this time, Karin was in bed, gazing at the moon. She was thinking about a certain blonde transfer student. Her face became hot each time she thought about him. Particularly, earlier this evening. As Naruto-kun was carrying me after I fainted. I thought about how he was so strong, stronger than any boy his age should be. He felt so warm. She buried her face in her hands. I'm too embarrassed to sleep. She smacked herself with her pillow as she replayed the day's events. I can't believe I slapped him. He must hate me now. My parents were never that nice to me and I repaid him like that. She groaned loudly. How can I face him? XXX. First. So that lady's your mom? Yukiko asked once we were in Shihaba Natural Park. Isn't she a little young? I'm her stepson, I explained. Her real son passed away. Is that why she's so protective of you? I nodded. Yeah, she didn't like what you pulled. I grinned at her. You should thank me. I saved your butt. You seem to do that a lot lately. She smiled slyly, grabbing me by my shirt collar and pulling me closer. Thanks. I almost chuckled before she pressed her lips to mine. The truth was that she was danger-prone. This week had been the most challenging ever. And that didn't count the issues with the Tankin. She would trip at the most unconventional moments. Catching her before she fell into traffic was one of these moments. Even the Tankin had tried to mug her 3 more times. I wonder how she survives. I thought as we parted. No problem, I said, a bit breathless. I knew it was wrong and dangerous, but I was started to feel attached to her. Despite her biggest flaw, blackmail, she was a great girl. Outgoing, funny, assertive when necessary, and joyful. Any boy would be lucky to be with her, too bad being with me was a hazard. I couldn't allow it, but I had no say in the matter. Isn't this sweet, Ryu? A familiar voice mocked. Yeah, it sure is. Too bad we have to break it up. Another familiar voice. I placed myself between the men that stepped out of the shadows and Yukiko. How many times do I have to beat you until you get it? I was irritated by their tenacity. Only Ryu and Yuri stepped into the light, but I was sure there were more men in the shadows. Our leader, Yusuke-sama, has ordered us to give you one last chance to back off. Ryu spoke bitterly. It seems that he thinks different. No thanks. As long as you idiots try to terrorize my school, I'll be duty-bound to stop you. I said confidently and firmly. If I can't protect my classmates from a bunch of brainless thugs, how can I protect Konoha? I told you he would say that. Ryu gestured Yuri to attack. Yusuke told us to get his girl if he refused. Yuri grinned savagely. Inflict misery before going in for the kill. Yusuke-sama sure knows how to call it. He charged at me, muscular bulk and all. This will be over in no time. I was shaking with anger at what they plan to do. Too bad they won't succeed. Step back, Yukiko-chan. Make sure you get the message through this time. Make it loud and clear. She cheered me on a few feet away. Don't worry, this time for sure. I was arrogant. I would never see what was coming later. When he got close enough, he leapt into the air and spun around with a kick. One hit, he repeated over and over. I blocked his kick with my forearm. I never had the chance to actually fight him. Usually, he would take off with a Ryu. He was strong, that I will give him. But he wasn't that strong. I thought you were going to put me down with one hit. I mocked, twisting his leg, making him taste the dirt. He leapt to his feet, his face livid. Just wait till I get my fists into you. He roared, throwing a punch. I flowed around his arm. You're done. I struck with one fist, smashing his ugly mug. He flew all the way back to where Ryu stood. You want to make more empty threats? Yuri, our best fighter. He was speechless. Guess that's a yes. I turned around. No quite. A stoic voice I was not familiar with said. I turned back around. What now? More of you guys. Ikigaku-sama. Ryu shouted gleefully, shooting me a triumphant look that said, you're dead now. A pale-skinned boy, a little older than me, stood by them. He wore a cloak that cascaded down his back, a white shirt, and black slacks. His shoulder-length pure black hair swayed in the gentle breeze. What freaked me out were his blood-red eyes, staring at me indifferently. So this is the problem we have been having. He tilted his head to glare at Ryu. Pathetic, he's just a boy. His unusually handsome face scowled. Hey, you're not much older. I shouted at him. His eyes went back to me. Appearances can be deceiving. He smirked. 2 fangs slid from his mouth. Is it Halloween already? This guy seriously looks like a vampire. Even the satin cloak suits him perfectly. Well, if you're anything like the rest of your goons, then I should have no trouble with you. He frowned. Don't even compare me to these weaklings. These humans have served their uses. He looked down at Yuri groveling at his feet. Shameful. He kicked Yuri in the stomach. I wouldn't have cared if that had been it. I was astonished by the strength of it. His legs barely moved, but Yuri was sent flying. I winched at the sick, kenning sound he made when he hit a tree trunk. Aikigiku's gaze returned to me while Ryu went to check his friend. Now, I think I shall take your woman, he stated. Like hell you will. I didn't then have all the words out when he was suddenly in front of me. His fist buried itself in my stomach with much more power than his lackey's. I had not time to recover or counter. His elbow slammed into the side of my head, making me see stars. He twirled around to gain momentum and delivered a punishing front kick to my face, knocking me on my back. Naruto-kun. I heard Yukiko scream my name as I drifted on the edge of consciousness. Let go of me, Naruto-kun. I vaguely saw Yukiko being grabbed. Aikigaku towered over me. I tried to get up. His foot slammed into my stomach and stayed there. Listen up. If you want her back, come to the abandoned warehouse in the market district in 2 days. Be bastard, I muttered right before his foot slammed into my face again. The darkness completely engulfed me. XXX. Third, Anju gasped as she watched the battle. That boy, she knew for sure, was a vampire. How could we have not detected him? She thought worriedly. A vampire in their territory was never a good thing. I better warn Daddy and Mommy. She was already halfway to their room. You were right. This is interesting, Boogie said. First, when I came to, I couldn't see. The ground felt different, soft and cushioning grass. Instead of the stiff kind they had in the city. I'm dreaming. That night, years ago. Where it all began. I opened my eyes, but it made no difference. I was blind. Naruto-kun. I heard Hinata's voice drifting all around me. What happened? Sakura demanded, her voice cracking. What did you do? She must have seen the bodies. It wasn't me, I replied dully, the scene playing out exactly like I remembered. Brief flashing of my battle played in my mind. Acid, poison, my eyes are gone now. A hiss sounded before my eyes started to burn. I can't see. Huh. Sakura's breath tickled my face. She gasped. Your eyes. They're gone. I finished for her. Big bro, are you blind now? Konohamaru said. Who did this to you? Ni-san, were you attacked? Hanabi asked. Her usually calm voice was panicky. So Hanabi and Konohamaru are here. I was very fortunate. I don't have to look for them now. Someone came while Jiraiya was fixing my seal. Everyone didn't stand a chance. I was useless now. I didn't have excellent sense of smell like an Inuzuka. My hearing wasn't acute either. He must be here somewhere since he didn't kill me. Ni-san, here's your scythe. Hanabi handed me my scythe. I felt scratches and dents on the long, once smooth handle. I took out my scroll. Thanks, seal. The scythe vanished from my grasp. We have to get out of here. I failed to stop him. He's aiming to take the position of Hokage, and the only people that could have stopped him are dead. I said. No tears came when I thought of them. Lying lifeless in the building. My tears were all gone. I could no longer cry. I thought I sensed you were alive. His voice came from above. And here I thought the poison had did its job. All you lost was your eyes. He chuckled, a sadistic kind. At least you won't see your death. Who are you? Identify yourself. Sakura demanded, rage filled her voice. I am but a victim of this vile village. Now run along little girl, take your friends with you. I have unfinished business with your blind friend. I heard a whooshing sound. No, Hinata screamed. Something hot splashed onto my face. What happened? My voice was shaking. I didn't want to know. You bastard. Sakura shouted, followed by Hanabi's own cry. I heard a thunderous boom, then trees splintering. What's happening? I stumbled around blindly, feeling around. Then someone bumped into me and started to fall. I caught him, her. Naruto-kun. Hinata whispered. I'm sorry. Her body fell limp, her head leaning against my chest. Please, take my eyes, they're yours now. No. Hinata-chan. I felt something wet flowing from her chest. It was wet and sticky. Blood. No, 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 no. I cried out into the night. Pain and loss laced my words. We have to go. Sakura grabbed my arm and tugged. I resisted, no longer having the will to go on. A sharp pain ran across my face. She slapped me. Get a hold of yourself. We have to get out of here. Hinata wouldn't want you to die after giving her life to save you. I nodded, numb. The shock that I would never see her smile, never hear her voice faded for a while. I can't see, you'll have to guide me. She grabbed my hand. Don't let go. I slung Hinata's body over my shoulder and let Sakura lead me. Don't think this is over. The smashing of trees could be heard as we ran. I will find you. XXX. Miles away from Konoha. We finally stopped running. I laid Hinata down gently. I couldn't protect anyone. How can a person that can't protect those he loves, ever dream of being Hokage? We should be safe for now. Sakura said. Now, let me fix your eyes. Hinata did say she would let her use hers. Her voice was mournful. Tsunade had been her teacher and Hinata had become one of her best friends. This should only take a few minutes. Okay. I let her operate, feeling nothing. You can open them now. Sakura said a few hours after she finished. Whatever poison he used completely destroyed my eyes. I would have been blind until the day I died had it not been for Hinata. I would gladly give up my sight just to have her back. Gingerly, I opened my new eyes. The world came flooding back. Wow, was the only word to describe it. Everything was so clear, so vivid. So this is how they Hyuga see. Konohamaru and Hanabi were asleep by a tree. Unaware they were curled up next to each other. Poor Konohamaru. He's going to be out when she sees his face that close. I spotted Sakura next, blood stained her clothes. Can you see? She asked, a worried expression on her face. Yes, I replied. I can see perfectly. Quote. She let out a sigh of relief. Good. I thought it wouldn't work because of the extent of the damage. She peered closely at my eyes. Everything should be connected properly. Even the chakra flow should be able to travel to your eyes. So I can use the Byakugan now. I concluded. If everything is intact, yes. I sighed. Something that countries would have gone to war for, is mine now. I looked at Hinata lying next to me. Looking like she was sleeping, so peaceful. I caressed her cheek. Goodbye Hinata-chan. I murmured. XXX. The following morning, we held a burial for Hinata and those that fell. I read the names we engraved into a stone over and over. Inside I was weeping. On the outside, I was stoic. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you. Konohamaru held Hanabi as she wept. They were still young, not fully submerged in the shinobi world. Afterwards, we decided what to do next. We have to split up. He is only after me, I will not have you all endangered. I left no room for argument. You should go to Suna, Gaara will take care of you and offer you protection. I took out a piece of paper and scribbled a note to Gaara. What about you? Sakura didn't argue about the plan, but was concerned. Iruka-sensei survived. I told them. He sent a message after I regained use of my eyes. He told me to meet him on the edge of Fire Country. He knows a place I can go where I can be safe and train. Take care then. Sakura packed up her stuff. Come on you two, we have to get there by tomorrow. No doubt we'll be hunted. I'll miss you big bro. Konohamaru said. Ni-san, be careful. Hanabi muttered, still mournful. Hanabi wait. I pulled her aside as Sakura and Konohamaru sent on ahead. I know you don't feel like talking but I need to know. How do I activate the Byakugan? She stared at me dumbly. Probably thinking what ridiculous question that was. Then realization came to her face. Right, Byakugan. You push chakra into your eyes and focus. Just like you would do to make some other part of your body stronger with chakra. She explained. Goodbye. She waved before following Sakura and Konohamaru. I better get going too. XXX. The filtered sunlight woke me. I groaned as I stretched, my whole body was stiff from sleeping on the ground. I stood up, the night before still fresh in my mind. My nightmare gone for the moment. I punched a nearby tree trunk, the wood cracked. Damn it, I yelled. Right now, I hated myself for being so cocky. That's how people get themselves killed. I reminded myself, the one rule I always followed. Never underestimate your opponent. Out of the corner of my eye, I spotted Yukiko's glasses. They laid on the ground, the crack on the lens a bit bigger. I walked to them and picked them up. Don't worry Yukiko-chan, I will save you. XXX. At school, there was a commotion. Word had it that Yukiko had gone missing. Having said that, you already know that all eyes were on me the moment I entered the room. I wasn't in the mood to act cheerful to them. I had to bide my time until tomorrow. I sat down at my desk and stared at the blackboard. I noticed that Maka was gone. She did say she had to stay away from me. Maybe she moved. One of my classmates came over to me. I think her name was Mai. Her short glossy, silky brown hair framed her face. You could say she was beautiful in the conventional way. Hey, have you heard that Yukiko has gone missing? Her mom called the police when she didn't come home last night. Of course, she couldn't tell I was beaten down and that she was taken while I was unconscious. The bruises and cuts should have healed completely by now. I nodded solemn. I was there when it happened. I informed her. Gasps rang throughout the room. Really? Mai asked. Didn't you try to save her? One student demanded. Yukiko was kind of popular, she had friends in grades higher and lower than her. Of course I did. I snapped. Being unable to protect her made me short-tempered. I took a deep calming breath before continuing. I was outmatched this time. The bell rang, saving me from more questions. But I could see their disappointing looks. Why? Are only held in high regard as long as you continue to excel at what you did to get there. Once you fail, it all goes away. XXX. Later, the police were interrogating me. Asking me where I was when Yukiko disappeared. The new boyfriend is suspect number 1. I told them nothing, thinking it would only get worse if the police knew. I only hoped that my loud-mouthed classmates kept their mouths shut. XXX. I arrived home in a rotten mood. I was surprised when Fumio engulfed me in a bear hug, squeezing the life out of me. You're home, she sobbed happily. I forgot to come home last night. When I heard that Yukiko-chan was kidnapped, I thought they hurt you to get her. She released me. I averted my eyes from hers. I'm fine. I walked around her to my small chest. I'm going to get her back before things get out of hand. I told her. I found what I was looking for, 2 scrolls with a formula on each one. The kanji for weapon was on one and the kanji for armor on the other. What? Fumio shrieked. If they beat you once, think about how much worse it will be the next time. I underestimated them. It won't happen again. I smiled reassuring at her. Don't worry. It'll take more than a couple thugs to take me out. I unrolled the scroll that had armor on it. Kai. My old armor materialized in my hands. Thin and sturdy black metal that was light enough so not to impair my movement. I slipped it on and then pulled a black and orange shirt over it. I'll be back later, tomorrow at latest. Fumio grabbed my arm before I was out the door. Please don't go. Let the police handle this. You're just a kid, she pleaded. Her eyes filled with the fear and pain of losing someone. I would have been angry that she didn't think I could do it. I'm a shinobi mom. This is what my life involves. I can never promise to come back, only that I'll try my damn hardest to. I gave her a swift hug. But this time, I promised to come back. No matter what. Before she could grab onto me or protest, I performed a hand sign and was gone. XXX. Third, Anju replayed the events she witnessed to her parents. Both were astonished that a vampire went undetected for so long in their territory. This is troubling. Henry, her father, sat in a stuffed chair. What kind of vampire is he? That he can live in our territory and not be noticed. Clara, her mother, sat on the chair arms, her arms folded over her ample chest. Your mother will never let me live this down if she finds out. We should take care of him quickly. Anju spoke up before they could finalize their plan. I think we should wait. Clara raised a questioning brow at her youngest daughter. Despite being the youngest of the family, she was mature for her age. Why is that? You have a plan. Henry rested his chin on the back of his hands. Yes, do tell. He asked, interested. This girl they kidnapped. She is the girlfriend of Uzumaki Naruto. She told them. They nodded, being told this already. He may look like a regular human. But I have been keeping an eye on him since he saw KARIN feeding. He is, interesting. She said, a faint tint of pink in her cheeks. Clara was amused, her daughter's first crush. So she has a fancy for this boy. Ah, to be young and naive again. Henry, on the other hand, was horrified. What? She looks like she has a crush on him. No. His fatherly instincts told him to end it at all costs. She's too young. He may be able to take care of him for us. They were shocked. A human. They never heard such a thing, a human being able to defeat a vampire in a fair fight. Unless he cheated, he would certainly die. After all, that was how their ancestors were killed. In their sleep, or distracted. Surely you must be joking. Ren chuckled at the thought. He was standing in the doorway. A human can never defeat a vampire in a fair fight. Being a kid, he would certainly die. Anju felt obliged to stand up for him. This Naruto is more than a regular human. Watch. She held out her hands. Clara, Henry, and Ren each touched her hands. She played everything she had on him. His training sessions, his brief anger moments when his eyes changed crimson. Those tricks of his. Is he even human? Clara eyes widen in surprise. Lately, there have been quakes and explosions. She never knew that a human was responsible. He could become a problem. Henry said, getting over the shock. He doesn't seem like anything special. Ren sat on the couch, hiding his true feelings. See, he can defeat the rogue. Anju noticed their expressions and feelings. They were of fear, not admiration like hers. We will keep a wary eye on him. Henry decided. We'll let him go in first. XXX. First. I found the warehouse after an hour. The sun was well gone. Only the streetlights provided light. It was worn and weather-beaten, looking like it would collapse any minute. A feeling told me that they were here even though I was early. I channeled chakra to my eyes. Byakugan. I muttered. The veins around my eyes bulged. I could see inside the thin metal walls. There were literal hundreds in the huge warehouse. I found Yukiko. She was tied to a post, unconscious. I let out a sigh of relief. She hadn't been hurt. Standing next to her was Ikigaku and a man he did not recognize. He was like Ikigaku, pale and unusually handsome. He dressed like an old-style man from the 17th century. His blood-red eyes locked on mine. He smiled and motioned for his men to move. How could he see me? I deactivated my Byakugan. Those two are not normal. I thought aloud. The doors opened, two on the far ends of the building. And a stream of black-clad men ran out. Here I go. No holding back. I got into a Goken stance, adrenaline pumped through my veins. Bring it on, you sons of a bitches. I yelled on the top of my lungs. The violence struggled to break free. I keep a tight hold on it. No, don't waste it on these lackeys. XXX. Third. The Marker family watched Naruto. He's dead. Ren concluded. There is no way he could defeat that many. Anju shook her head. She wanted to deny it, but he was right. Just watch, she said, hoping her intuition was right. As the men surrounded him, Anju almost dismissed her bats, thinking this was over. But in a blink of an eye, the first couple of men that charged were sent flying. Seems you were right, Anju. Henry said. XXX. First, I didn't need my Byakugan to deal with them. But I didn't pull my punches. The first ones stupid enough to rush in first were dealt with. Goken was used to shattered bones and inflict great pain, an ideal taijutsu. Su to use on these people that preyed on the defenseless. I jumped into the crowd, getting started. With my speed and power I quickly took out the mob. Conserving my chakra. That's what you get when you mess with me. I kicked one of the groveling men in the stomach, he coughed up blood. They were strewn around me, moaning and nursing their wounds. They would all need medical attention, bones jutted out from some of them. Blood was splattered everywhere, and some were dead, but they were my enemies so I didn't care. I knew this was a prelude for the real battle. I went inside. The two vampire Osers were standing in the center of the room, battle ready. The man next to Ikigaku brushed back his platinum blonde hair aside. His blood-red eyes looked over me, analyzing. So you are the famed boy that has been beating my men. I can see the reason for your stature. He frowned. You have been a thorn in my side, boy. It seems that human strength certainly can't defeat you. So we'll have to do it ourselves. He drew a double-edged sword from the scabbard that hung from his waist. The crimson blade sparkled menacingly. Ikigaku reached over his back, a giant sword was attached to his back. With ease, he swung it over his head, holding it at the ready. Good thing I brought this then. I unrolled my weapon scroll. Kai. I quickly grasped the long handle of my scythe. The long crescent blade shimmered, reflecting the lights from above. I feel a powerful aura coming off these two. I better be extra careful. Byakugan. Yusuke-sama, who goes first? Ikigaku asked, keeping his eyes on me. This is no ordinary boy. We both go, I'll cover you. Here they come. Their speed was that of a seasoned shinobi. Ikigaku was above me in an instant, bringing down his Zanbato. I shifted my body to the right. The huge blade came crashing harmlessly into the ground in front of me. You're first. I swung my scythe at him. The sound of metal rung throughout the building as Yusuke parried my blow. I told you to be careful. He scolded his second in command. Gomen. Aikigaku heaved his sword out of the ground. Yusuke turned his attention back to me. Impressive boy. To be able to keep up with us is no easy feat. I'm just getting started. I growled. I saw Aikigaku's attack coming from behind. I leapt up to avoid it. Yusuke was waiting for me in the air. I caught his fist as he attempted to send me back to the ground. With a roar, I pulled him closer. My fist smashed his face with a satisfying crunch. A trail of blood followed him as he flew across the room. Yusuke-sama. Ichi. Gaku shouted as his master crashed into the wall, and went through it. Pay attention, I advised, behind him. My scythe flashing as I swiped at him. He parried my attack, struggling to hold it at bay. You're strong, he hissed, sounding like he hated to admit it. I smirked. I'm barely trying. You never mess with a shinobi unless you can handle the consequences. I kicked the side of his sword, knocking from his hands. Then I kicked his chin, sending him skyward. I jumped after him, sealing my weapon away. What's this? Aikigaku sounded scared. I was behind him, like a shadow. Your end. I wrapped my arms around him and began to spin toward the earth. He tried to break free as we spun faster and faster. I held firm. Frontward lotus. I released him just before we crashed into the ground. The explosion was deafening. I landed nimbly near the crater. My prisoner was already healing the torn muscles. Aikigaku coughed up blood. His breathing was ragged. How is this possible? He looked at me with contempt. A human, defeating a versus. He fell silent. I saw the attack coming, but I couldn't quite move yet. Yusuke's fist slammed my face. I skidded back, but remained on my feet. Damn it. I can't move yet. I tasted blood in my mouth. Yusuke's eyes were filled with cold fury. You'll pay for what you did. I warned you over and over through your men. I spat out the blood. It's your fault this happened. He was upon me before I finished talking. I couldn't move right yet, so all I could do was block. I unsealed my scythe. Metal rang out once again as I blocked his sword. Sparks flew as he pulled back and struck again and again. He was clearly getting frustrated that none of his attacks were landing. Naruto-kun. Yuki. I stopped. She distracted me. Yusuke got his sword into my shoulder. Now you die. He used his strength to bring down his sword, cutting toward my arteries and heart. Naruto-kun. I cried out in pain as it cut deeper. Without thinking, I grabbed the blade trying to stop it. My scythe clanged to the ground. His sword cut into my palms. Blood was everywhere, spilling from my shoulder and flowing like a little waterfall from my hands. You need my help. A voice called out to me. It was sinister and dark. No, I don't. I gritted my teeth. My strength wasn't back yet. The cold steel dug deeper into me and I bite back a cry. You're going to die if you don't accept. I can't heal you in time if you don't let me. Just die with honor. Yusuke applied more pressure. Fine. I shouted. I heard a crackle of laughter before the red curtain closed. Yukiko-chan, closed your eyes and remain completely still. I shouted as the burning sensation enveloped my body. XXX. Third. The markers watched him kill the first vampire. This boy, who exactly is he? Henry asked his daughter. I don't know, he is the new transfer student. Not much I could find on his past. Anju watched him, getting worried when the older vampire finally struck him. Dad. She looked at her father with pleading eyes. He sighed. All right, I better go help. Cholera grabbed his shirt and forced him back down. Wait, something is happening. They heard Naruto yelled at Yukiko. His whole body spasmed as a red aura formed around him. His features changed, his canines grew longer as did his nails. His eyes grew more feral. Oh my god. Anju watched his transformation. Troublesome indeed. Ren commented. XXX. First, when the Chibi took control of my body, I always found myself floating in a void. Soundless and empty. I could see what was happening outside sometimes. This was one of those times, a screen stretched out in front of me. I could only make suggestions. I couldn't control myself when I was like this. I keep quiet as the Chibi ripped Yusuke apart. Blood sprayed everywhere. He was going wild. He saw Yukiko tied to the post. I could feel him grin. No, I shouted. Leave her alone. He either heard me and ignored me, or he couldn't hear me at all. He walked toward her. Taking his time. No. I struggled against his bonds on me. XXX. Third. The markers were horrified as they watched him tear his opponent apart like nothing. He looked at the girl and grinned. I don't think he's going to save her. Ren couldn't stand there watching a fellow vampire being killed. Should I stop him? Henry shook his head. No, you nor any of us will stand no chance against him. Naruto suddenly stopped, his body jerking. His hands held his head as he fell to his knees. What's happening? Cholera made the bat go in closer so they could hear. No. Leave her alone, he shouted. I won't let you. He screamed louder. The red aura around him began to wane. I told you to stop. His features returned to normal as he fought whatever possessed him. He was on his hands and knees when the red aura finally disappeared, panting and sweating heavily. This boy doesn't even have control of himself. Henry shook his head. This is dangerous. XXX. First, I was finally in my body. The Chibi didn't want to go back and fought back bitterly. I was breathing hard and sweat dripped from my brow. I did it. I never tried to take back control. I thought I couldn't. Naruto-kun, you can open your eyes. I told her. Just focus on me, don't let your eyes wander. The bloody remains of Yusuke would haunt her dreams if she saw it. I forced my body to move, ending up in front of her. Naruto-kun, she shrieked joyfully. I put on her glasses. Hi. XXX. I told her to close her eyes as we left. I picked up my scythe as we made our way out. Their bodies were not a pretty sight. As soon as we reached Shihaba Natural Park I gave her the okay. She immediately wrapped her arms around me, squeezing me hard. Thank you. She started to sob. My shirt began to become soaked. I thought he killed you. Why you weren't moving when he kicked you? I was so scared I lost you. She stammered. I hurt all over, my shoulder hadn't even healed yet and my palms were bloody. I let her hold me though, if it made her feel better. It's all right now. You're safe. I whispered into her ear, rubbing small circles on her back with my uninjured hand. That's all that matters. We have to get to a hospital, she said as she pulled away. My blood stained her blouse and her hands. I was getting lightheaded. I must have repressed his healing abilities too. I fell to my knees. The blood lost was catching up with me. Naruto-kun. I smiled weakly at her. Don't call anyone, I told her. If the doctors found out about my healing abilities, I would become a test subject, undergoing experiments so they could recreate it. I had no time for that. My mom can't afford it. But she began to argue. I had no more strength to keep going. Just take care of me. Please. Don't call anyone. I fell face first. I was out before I smacked into the ground. I drifted through emptiness, not really feeling anything. I knew this was a prelude to the nightmarish memories I would receive from my prisoner. I thought the seal on my navel kept our minds separate. I guessed that there were more faults with it. To think, the Yondaime, a seal master, could design a seal that had many faults. I sighed, not much use complaining about it. Then, without any warning, his memories flooding into me. Everything he did when he took control, in full clarity, vividness. I saw everything through my eyes, or his eyes. Which it was, I had no idea. XXX. What the hell are you? Yusuke shouted, fear shined brightly in his eyes. I felt strong, stronger than I could ever be. I easily removed his sword from my shoulder. The red chakra, his chakra, flowed through me. Hot and scorching like fire, the pain of it was bearable. I sneered at him. I am helping T. His pathetic boy before he gets us both killed. My voice full of contempt, the thought of relaying on me must be humiliating for him. Please die. With a flick of my fist, he was sent skidding back. He stayed on his feet. Blood trickled out of the corner of his mouth. You've gotten stronger. I smiled arrogantly. No, this is my strength. This boy can't possible hope match me. I flexed my muscles, chakra running through them. Yes. He can't hope to control me. Yusuke brandished his sword, readying for another attack. Either way, you are no match for a Vam. I crossed the distance between us in a moment, leaping at him. My foot connected squarely with the side of his head. He crashed into the brittle warehouse wall. Don't compare a demon lord with your kind. I spat. Yusuke rose to unsteady feet, holding his sword limply. Blood ran down the side of his face. A demon lord. He took a clumsy step forward. To think I would run into a demon lord here. Far away from your world or that other one. His speed and strength was gone now, it seemed to take every ounce of his strength to advance. I frowned. I detest your kind. I sauntered forward. Unfortunately for you, I have no time to waste on you. I have been trapped inside this boy for quite a while. I want to have some fun before I go back. Without warning, Yusuke's fatigue vanished and he shot at me like a cannon. You think I would fall that easily? He stabbed at me with his sword. I sidestepped him as he lamely stumbled by me. Poor form. I grabbed his wrist as he stumbled by. Feel my rage, I whispered, squeezing. With a snap, his wrist was obviously broken. He howled out in pain, dropping his sword. I relished his cries of pain. Not so mighty now. I wrapped my hand around his throat and lifted him off the ground. You should never say something you can't reinforce with actions. See, curse, you. He choked out. Your last words. My nails were sharpened whenever the Chibi took control. Goodbye. I plunged my claws into him. He made gurgling sounds as blood flowed freely from his mouth. XXX. No more. I shouted inside my head. Closing my eyes, thinking I could stop it. I didn't help. I heard Yusuke being torn apart. The Chibi laughing gleeful in my voice. This is my body. There was laughter, echoing all around me. The darkness disappeared, leaving me in front of a cage. A single seal on the lock, the kanji for seal drawn on it. Two giant red eyes opened in the dark depths of the cage. You have no claim to this body. It growled. As long as we share it, I can show you anything I want. Even the night you lost your vision. It gave a throaty chuckle. To think, your precious Hokage thought he could seal me away. Thinking you would have access to my power, ludicrous. Having my hero degraded sent my blood boiling. I didn't care if he was the most powerful demon. Shut it. I shouted at the beast. I don't want your power. I never did. I unsealed my scythe, surprised momentary that I could. But I do know that if I die, you die. I angled the crescent blade at my chest. Its red eyes narrowed. You wouldn't. Your goal is still far from reach. Would you let those you hold dear to you suffer more at the hands of that snake? It asked, keeping its eyes on my scythe. I glared at the fox demon as I lowered my weapon. Lucky for you. I would gladly take my life to rid the world of you. Now, take me back to my body. It fixed its eyes on me. You'll never be able to rid the world of evil. It said as everything became hazy. Even with me gone, the world will fill in the place I left. Its voice nothing but a whisper. XXX. Third, Yukiko cradled Naruto's head in her lap, watching over him like he asked. To her relief, the blood stopped flowing from his wound. To her astonishment, the wound began to close, stretching and pulling itself together. What are you, Senpai? She asked aloud. It was evident that he was not a normal teenage boy. He twisted and turned in his sleep. His face consorted with disgust, pain, horror. Almost every negative emotion flashed across his face like lightning. I found you. She gasped at the sudden sound. Who's there? The young man that kidnapped her limped out from behind a tree, carrying his massive sword on his back. His black hair had bits of debris in it. His clothes and cloak were torn asunder. His blood-colored eyes glowed with rage, fury. I will make you pay, boy. His voice was hard like iron. Stand aside, girl, my business is with this one. He demanded. Yukiko shielded Naruto protectively with her body. No. Senpai already defeated you. Just go back to whatever rock you crawled out of, she said with as much bravado as she could muster. Inside, she was trembling with fear. Senpai, please wake up. I need you. He glowered at her with sullen anger. You have no idea what you speak of, human. He hissed. He gripped the hilt of his Zanbato. One more chance, move or be killed with him. Yukiko stared defiantly at him with no trace of her earlier fear. No, she said firmly. I will try to protect you, Senpai. So be it. He drew his Zanbato from his back. Yusuke-sama will be avenged no matter what. He wielded the giant blade with ease, despite his current condition, bringing it down on them with full force. Senpai. Yukiko hugged Naruto close. A cloud of dust blew up as the sword crushed its target. Got you. Not quite. Quote. Turning his head, he saw Naruto with Yukiko standing unharmed by the pebble path. XXX. First, I was taken back when I saw Ikigaku standing there. I was certain I killed him. He even admitted it himself. How are you still alive? I asked. He was impassive again. All hope seemed to drain from his face. You didn't destroy my body. He explained. I can heal as long as I remain intact. I nodded. I see. I gently pushed Yukiko back. Then I will have to make sure to do a thorough job this time. I took out my weapon scroll and unsealed my scythe once again. My scythe is getting quite a workout. I thought. The handle was showing signs of damage. Nicks and scratches covered the handle. Yukiko grabbed my arm. You can't. You're still injured. She held firm. Pain flared through my arm. I was tugging my newly healed wound. Let go. I have to finish this. I looked over my shoulder at her. Her grip lessened, but she still hesitated to let go. I grinned at her. Don't worry. I still have something to do. I won't allow myself to be killed just yet. I promised to protect you too. I didn't say that. It was kind of embarrassing. Like something the hero would say to his wife. Girlfriend in a manga. But, conflicted, she let go. Her arms hung limply by her side. Be careful. Always. I turned to face my opponent. He didn't use the distraction to attack. Strange. Close your eyes, Yukiko-chan. I urged. I don't think you should watch. Okay. I took a quick glance. Seeing her hands placed completely over her eyes, I charged forward. My scythe. He trailed behind me as I closed the distance quickly. I had enough of you and your gang. He readied his Zanbato. Then it is time we ended this. He lifted it over his head as I drew close. I watched him. He had no life in his eyes. Like he had given up hope that he could win. You can't win if you don't believe. The fire briefly returned to his eyes as he brought it down. Die. He roared loudly. I leapt sideways to avoid being sliced half. Rubble from the stone path pelted my face. Before he could bring his sword around to strike again, my scythe flashed. Now, leave us alone. My blade was buried deep in his chest. He heaved a painful breath, spraying me with his blood. Why, you are strong. He coughed up blood before continuing. Still, you remain ignorant of the world I come from. He struggled to get each word out. Beware, there are more, like us. He made a gurgling sound as more blood spilled from his chest and mouth. More, like him. I wrenched my scythe from his chest, opening the wound farther. He fell face first into a sprawling heap. He should have made better choices. I thought with no pity. I felt no remorse as I watched the ground be soaked with his blood. I walked over to Yukiko and laid a hand on her shoulder. Let's go. I ushered her away, making sure she didn't see his body. Had I stayed a little longer, I would have seen the sunlight shine through the trees. His body burning to a crisp when it touched him. XXX. Kasen is going to be frantic when she sees me. Yukiko didn't sound like she cherished the thought of meeting her mother. She is your mother. You can't keep her from worrying. I said. We were in the urban district, where there were houses instead of apartments. Though, they were little houses. Still much nicer than our home. We reached her home. A small house squished between two other buildings. Well, here we are. Ladies first. I insisted, gesturing with my hand. Meeting her mother was making me nervous. Thanks, she replied sarcastically. She gulped before she opened the door. Kasen, I'm home, she called out. Yuki. A head popped out a room. She looked just like Yukiko, except that her hair was longer. Yuki. She cried joyously. You're back. Why yeah. Yukiko nodded, slightly flushed. It seems like she was embarrassed by her mother's emotional display. Her mother ran to her and scooped her up in her arms, covering her face with kisses. I thought I would never see you again. Yukiko squirmed around in her mother's embrace. Kasen, I was only gone a day. She whined loudly. I watched, amused. Fumio never worried too much over me. I could take care of myself, though she forgot sometimes, she knew that. Mom must be fuming by now. Even if I was only gone a few hours. Then she spotted me. You. Yukiko's Kasen lunged at me. How dare you kidnap my daughter? But I didn't. Her hands were around my neck, processed to throttle me. Why must every female I met be strange? Kasen, stop. Yukiko shouted, trying to pry her hands off me. He saved me. Her Kasen shouted some more things before she looked at Yukiko for a moment. Really? She released me. Okay. I breathed deeply, holding my bruised neck. I watched her, wary. She smiled warmly at me. Thank you. She bowed. You must have risked your life to save her. You must really love my daughter. Kasen. Yukiko was red, having her mom talk like that to me. I was too oxygen deprived to be flustered. It was nothing. And so modest too. She looked at her daughter. You know how to pick them, she said, giving her a thumbs up. Kasen, Yukiko whined. She went over to me and helped me up. We'll be in my room, she told her mother. Okay, be careful, she hinted teasingly. Yukiko ignored her and dragged me to her room while blushing fiercely. XXX. We heard her mother make a call. Probably going to inform her father, I concluded. I sat on Yukiko's small couch. I was soft and comfortable, though the pink did hurt my eyes some. I was a simple room, decorated with various posters taped to the teal-blue walls. A small TV sat on top a dresser. Wow, her room is much nicer than our whole apartment. I looked around. Yukiko was obviously nervous with me in her room. Your room's nice, I commented. Thanks. I looked at her. Something wrong. You didn't hear what my mom said, she whispered. Not really. Her hands on my neck distracted me. What did she say? Yukiko looked at the floor, forlorn. We're moving. I froze. You are. I was just getting used to her. When? Soon, she was yelling about being forced to move to the country because of you. I heard her talking to Dad in the next room, confirming it. She slumped next to me on the couch. I must have been spacing out if I missed that. I didn't really know what to say. What was I supposed to say? I was so bad at these kind of things. Goodbyes. I'm going to miss you, senpai. She leaned her head against my shoulder. And here things were starting to be alright. I leaned my head on hers. I'm going to miss you too. I kissed the top of her head. I'm sorry I caused this. I apologized. But it's not your fault, she protested, looking at me with tearful eyes. I stood up and she followed suit. I'm not good at this. Long goodbyes aren't my strong point, I admitted. If we could make this brief. She pulled me to her with surprising strength, pressing my lips to hers with much passion. I replied willingly, holding her close, and she wrapped her arms around my neck. When we ran out of breath, we broke apart. I was speechless for a second. Goodbye, senpai. Yukiko hugged me tightly, which I returned. Maybe we'll meet again. I smiled sadly. No, we won't. XXX. A week passed since then. Yukiko and her parents moved to a quiet little town in the country. Thought it pained me, I was glad. I couldn't let anyone get that close to me again. It was safer this way, they wouldn't be killed or hurt if my enemies found me. Too bad everyone else didn't think the same. Yukiko left me one last gift. She spread the rumor that I took out the Tankin. No one believed her at first, but the absence of them for a whole week convinced them. Now I was the supposed cool guy at school. Any other guy would have been ecstatic at the attention of most of the female population at school. I wasn't. It went against everything I was taught. I can't blend in if everyone knew my name. I was surprised that the Akatsuki haven't located me yet. Now the rumor was spreading and becoming more and more ridicules. I can't fly, damn it. XXX. Have a good day at school, Fumio yelled as I left. I hope I do, I muttered. I bet Sasuke Tem liked the attention he got when he was in the academy. I thought bitterly, the traitor. My comrade once. But power called to him stronger than his friends. I wonder how he dealt with it. XXX. I arrived early and sat at my desk, waiting impatiently for class to start. I took the time to whip out a new training scroll Sakura sent me. A manual on how to use elemental chakra. She even provided me with chakra paper to see which element I was. I found out I was wind, and the scroll explained how I could use that to my advantage in battle. This thing is frustrating though. I concealed my scroll as the first students came in, chatting loudly about the finals coming up. I did my best to blend in with the scenery. I failed miserably. Fukio spotted me. Hey Naru-chan. I groaned. Most of the guys left me alone, only bothering me about the details of how I took out the Tankin. But the girls bothered me constantly with trivial things. I don't have time to go to the summer dance or go out. Hi, I replied. You ready for finals? She asked, taking the sit in front of me. More or less. I didn't freak out like the rest of my classmates. I already know this, being a ninja not only required you to be strong, but also smart. Though I didn't like it at first, I study a lot since arriving in Japan. You can't throw just a kunai at an enemy behind a rock with wind blowing and expect it to hit him. Really? She peered close, too close, at my face. You don't have any bags under your eyes. No breaks-outs. You are ready. You must be smart. I just study. Then could you help me? She pleaded. I need help. I don't want to go to summer school. Thankfully the bell saved me. I noticed that Maka wasn't here again. She had been gone for the last week. Is she still avoiding me, or is she too sick to come? Her health problem is what causes her to bleed so much. Her so-called reverse anemia. Maybe I should check up on her. I walked silently to work. I decided against going to visit Maka. I didn't know her well enough to just pop in. Plus, I didn't want to get involved with anyone else from around here. Much too dangerous. If my real, threatening enemies got a hold of them, they would have the means to make me do almost anything. I wasn't cold-hearted, so I couldn't let that happen. I sighed as Julian came in sight. My life utterly sucks sometimes. I went in the store, muttered a greeting to my coworker, and entered the men's locker room to get changed. Maybe this would all change soon. Nah, too much to hope for. XXX. Third, a raven hair man stepped off the train. His black coat covered the bottom half of his face. He looked around once, taking in everything with his dark brown eyes. So this is where you are hiding, he murmured to himself. He ignored the other passengers that were glaring at him for holding up the line. Move it. A short-haired man tried to shove him out of the way. His hands met nothing, the man was already gone. Wah. They all looked around. He was here a moment ago. Then the train doors closed in front of them. Hey. He was standing on a building outside the station, scanning the area with keen interest. Where are you? His eyes blinked red as he tried to find who he was sent to find. He stood up to his full height with a frustrated sigh. It does not matter, I will find you. He vowed, fading into the night. XXX. First. The phone rang just I was checking out a customer. Have a nice evening, I said as I picked up the phone. Thank you for calling Julian. May I help you? I uttered the company greeting. Eck. The line went dead. I held the phone an inch from my ringing ear. Was that Maka? The scream certainly belonged to her. It had the same effect on me. My hearing eventually returned. Who was that, Uzumaki-kun? My boss asked as he rushed by with a platter of food. He was strong for a short chubby guy. It was Maka. She says she's still sick and will probably miss a few more days. I lied, hanging up the phone. She would also miss work just to stay away from me. Are her parents tyrants? I was starting to get anxious. Missing 2 weeks of school and work just to avoid someone was unheard of. In Konoha, that meant you were dead, unless you left a note. XXX. My shift ended, so I was now going to pick up my mom. I pondered the reason she said I can't be around her anymore. I couldn't see a reason, no matter how much I mused it over. I'll just go see and ask her why. My whole body went rigid when I sensed something familiar. Way too familiar. It can't be. Then memories from my shadow clone popped into my head, distracting me. What? I shouted, my hands curled into tight fists. I had a clone watch Fumio. Considering what had happened at her last few jobs, this time was no different. There was a reason signs were put up that said, beware of molesters. I was already sprinting toward home, forgetting that there were worse things after me. For the moment, protecting my mom was all that was in my head. I have to at least protect someone. I was positive that whoever tried to molest my mother would be after revenge tonight. XXX. Third. Karen was sobbing on her bed. The moonlight bathed her entire room, making her glow. Her door burst open and her brother, Ren, strolled in. He threw a jacket at her. Come on, we're going out, he huffed, placing his hand on his forehead. Man, to believe I have to give your personal instruction. Karen gripped the jacket. Hey, what happened to knocking? You can't just burst into a lady's room like that. He motioned for her to follow. Hurry up, we don't have all night, he said, ignoring her outburst. XXX. First. I was leaving my apartment, she wasn't. Damn it, where is she? The place didn't look like anyone had been there all day. I debated with myself whether I should use shadow clones. Too risky, I won't be able to explain how I was in 20 places at once. I settled for using the night for cover to unleash my full speed. The wind buffeted my face as I leapt through the trees of the park, crossing the huge park in a few seconds. I searched the area, looking for any traces of her. Damn it, I cursed again. Where is she? I ran up a tall building, forgetting momentarily that normal people can't do that. I spotted something out of the corner of my eye. A dark-haired woman was walking into the park with 2 other people. Mom. I activated my Byakugan to see clearly. Baka, you could have done that in the first place. I scolded myself. The veins around my eyes bulged, my eyesight increased exponentially. Mom. I also recognized the other 2. Maka and her brother. Did they know my mom? I leapt off the building and sped toward them. Had I been more careful about my chakra use, I would have noticed someone appear where I used to be. XXX. I stopped before the steps, shocked. Maka was embracing my mom, and her brother had a perverted look on his face. What are they doing? I snapped out of my stupor when the man that almost violated my mother stomped toward her. You bitch. I lost my job because of you. He shouted, livid. What am I supposed to do now? Maka collapsed away from my mom, her brother caught her. I was about to rush forward and make that man wish he never thought about those things, but my Fumio was visibly shaking. I thought it was fear when her struck him with a vicious uppercut, sending him flying. You have no right to talk to me, you son of a bitch. It was your fault, not mine. Maka's brother let out a whistle. Damn. Fumio let out a happy laugh. I've never felt this good. She laughed some more before Maka's brother shoved her to the ground with his hand on her face. Mom. I caught her before her head hit the concrete. Hey. I looked up, but they were gone. Oh, Naruto. Hi there, you come to pick me up. My mom's voice distracted me. She sounded genuinely happy, which puzzled me. Huh. Mom, you're in the park. I said. Where did you meet those people? What are you talking about? She wasn't lying. I held back a frustrated retort. Never mind. I helped her up. She's all right. So I'll let it go this time. Fumio stretched with a content sigh. Wow, that was some nap. I haven't felt this good in a long time. XXX. I was in the woods again. I needed to work off some steam. And the Maka mystery had me stressed. Hanabi had mailed me again, scolding me for not being more careful. I told her about the Yukiko incident. Sakura even got a few words in. Even though they were mad. They sent me another training scroll. This one was to teach me how to convert my chakra to one of the elements. They added chakra paper too. I found out that I was wind affiliated. Scrolls can never replace a master. I recited. I had many training scrolls, but you can't ask a piece of paper a question. After a few minutes, I was getting nowhere. This is difficult. The objective of the first step was to cut a leaf in half using only your chakra. I have to imagine my chakra as 2 separated parts rubbing against each other, making a fine blade. The thinning the better. Forget this. I finally gave up. I meant to cut it a little, just a tiny wedge in it. It said this took months, so I was happy with my progress. Every step counts. It was late, so I decided to go back home. XXX. Third. A few minutes later, the raven hair man materialized in the woods. He was shrouded in the shadows the trees created. He sensed chakra being molded here, but was evidently too late. He doesn't suppress his chakra signature very well. His voice was calm, devoid of emotion. He must think he's safe here. He observed that the area was damaged. The trees had dents in them and the ground was torn up. He has been training. He mused, thinking about how strong he could have gotten over the years. How strong have you become? Naruto. He faded back into the darkness, even he needed sleep. 2 days of searching was tiring. I suppose I will observe you for now, if I find you. XXX. First, my morning ritual was routine. I would get up and creep into the bathroom to wash up. Looking in the mirror as I washed my face, I couldn't help noticing how much I had changed. My whisker-like scars were less noticeable, more or less. My blue eyes were much paler, almost crystal. I blinked. Was I imagining it? I closed my eyes for a moment. When I opened them, my eyes were back to their deep, azure blue. Must be because I'm using the Byakugan more than I ever have. I muttered. My blonde hair was spikier, longer. My bangs were starting to hang down. I need a trim. I needed one, but I don't have the money or the time. I didn't want Fumio to cut it, not very good with scissors. Being killed by a pair of scissors would be embarrassing. My body was what surprised me the most. I was muscular, trim. A byproduct of my harsh training, I suppose. Neji and Lee were probably the same since they practice their taijutsu every day. Lee had megaton weights on his legs. Who wouldn't build muscle? I also noticed the scars I had gained. I ran my finger over the scar Itachi had given me on my side. He had caught me in a fire jutsu before he cut me with a small katana. It had taken a lot of my prisoner's chakra to keep myself from dying that night. I traced another scar across my chest. An violent red scar against my fair skin. This is from that night. I moved on to the other smaller scars I had, remembering each battle. After a few minutes of remembering, I had to get ready. I slid on my undershirt, and then donned my white flannel shirt. Summer uniform could finally be worn to my relief. About time, I murmured as I buttoned up the shirt. The shish, a murring heat outside didn't make you doubt it was summer. Summer break would be soon, midterms would also take place shortly. I grinned, thinking about how much my classmates were freaking out. They should just study. I shook my head. They were like chickens with their heads cut off. I'm off, I called as I left. My usual goodbye. XXX. Though I don't want to admit it, was pleasantly surprised to bump into Maka in the hall. I no longer had a reason to go to her house if she was here. Hey, I greeted with an indolent wave, a smiling playing at my lips. Oh, She was completely flustered for some reason. Hey Uzumaki-kun. Long time no see, how have you been? Fine. She pushed by me before I finished, running full speed down the hall. I chuckled, confused. I guess this is my life. But that doesn't explain why she's acting like a schoolgirl with a crush. All in time I guess. I know she did something to my mom, but what? The 2 puncture marks on her neck didn't get by me. XXX. Third. Smoke engulfed the raven hair man. When it cleared, he looked younger. His hair was styled different and he had the Shihaba school uniform on. He must be here, he told himself. His voice different but had the same calm, stoic tone. He looked at the high school, many students passed him. Some noticed that he was new. He walked to the front desk and smiled at the receptionist. Hello, I'm new, he said in a cheery, friendly tone. Might as well appear friendly. I forgot to register. She blushed at his dazzling smile. Name, she stammered. He thought for a moment. My name, or my brother's would draw his attention. But he should get some warning. Uchiha Fugaku. That's it for today, I will stop here. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you please consider subscribe and make sure to hit that like button, share with your friends, and don't forget to check out author of this story. Details in description.